to the semi-final match between Nihal Sarin and Hikaru Nakamura in the Speed Chess Championship 2022. I'm Soumya, and with me is Grandmaster Srinath Narayanan. Hi Shri, how are you doing?
Hi Soumya, I'm good. How are you? And how
I'm
excited are you for today?
very excited, more excited than the football World Cup finals, I must say, because Nihal is taking on Hikaru. I mean, we've been talking about Nihal's progress in the overall progress in chess and especially in online chess over the last couple of years. And today he gets to play Hikaru Nakamura, who has won the SCC 4 times ever since they started it.
Absolutely. I think this is a matchup of India's best ever SEC player against world's best ever SEC player so far. Now, there is Magnus in the mix, but Magnus has did play in the last year. He couldn't win it. It was Hikaru who won it last year as well. And Hikaru has been the undisputed champion of this format. I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think from the very first SCC, Hikaru has won it all.
Yes, absolutely. He has won all of the STCs since 2016, which was the first edition, and since then he's won 4 times. He's also the current world champion in Fisher Random Chess, and of course, such a huge legend in the chess world in general, streaming world with such a huge fan following, the most popular chess, along with Magnus, perhaps even more. So it would be such a huge confidence boost for Nihal to actually win against Hikaru today and then meet Magnus or MVL in the final. So I'm really rooting for Nihal today, Srinath, more than ever. What about you, chat? And what about you, Sri? What do you think are our boys' chances today?
I'm definitely rooting for Nihal Soumya. It's a big matchup for him, and I really hope he goes as far as he can. For Nihal, for the Indian chess, for the junior chess, he's representing all of these things. But Hikaru is a huge favorite against anyone in the world, including Nihal. So I'm also a bit realistic that Hikaru is going to start as a favorite in this one, but heart says Nihal, brain says Hikaru. Chat, what do you think? And let's also have a look at the smarter chess stats to see how much of an edge Hikaru has in this matchup. There you go. The smarter chess stats predicts that Hikaru will take the 5 plus 1, 5.5, 3.5, the 3 plus 1, 5, 4, and 1 plus 1, 6, 4. So Hikaru, a favorite in all the formats, but a win probability of 71% for Hikaru is already something good for Nihal, but because Hikaru would have something like 85%, 90% against other people. Let's have a look at the insights. Look at that, Soumya. This is like, have you ever played WWE cards or cricket cards?
Yes, I have. Yeah, as a kid, I did. And please tell us, what is the analogy we are going to get today?
I mean, that there are these cards which win against everyone except this
Uh-huh.
one card. And if we had this chess.com cards, Nihal would have the highest number of games against everyone else except Hikaru. Look at the number of games that Hikaru has played. Nihal has close to 19,000 games, but Hikaru is like, okay, you're the kid in the school in which I was a headmaster. I have 30,000 games, almost 60%. And also look at his accuracy, 88%. It's like it's like Sachin Tendulkar's strike rate in one-day internationals. Hikaru has the highest number of games. He has a stunning precision. Let's have the insights one more time. Um, so highest number of games, a fantastic accuracy. Look at the win percentage, 77% of wins compared to 56%. But Soumya, if there's one thing our boys are ahead at, it's the win by flag. Nihal is like an ace flagger, 18% of wins by flag, more than Hikaru there.
Oh, that is.
And we also have the kickoff, and look at the first move there. Look at the first move.
Oh my God. Hikaru opens with A3, D5, and D4. Hikaru has been playing a lot of A3 in the title Tuesdays that he wins very often, but to actually play it in the SEC was completely unexpected. Uh, Guys, by the way, let's also get some predictions in for the match. What do you think is going to be the final score? In the previous commentary between Ding and Nihal, we actually asked for some predictions in the comments, and two people have predicted. Kaushik has predicted 15-17, 15 for Hikaru and 17 for win. So he has actually predicted a win for Nihal. And Gambika KM has predicted 16 for Naka. Uh, but that's, yeah, 16 for Naka. But probably that's also a prediction for Hikaru versus Levon. So we are not sure because Hikaru Levon match happened after that. So guys, what do you think is going to be the final score in this match? Let's get some predictions, and if you get it right, uh, then you have something to brag about.
Yes, you have something to brag about, and maybe more. We never
Maybe
know.
more.
But this is a very interesting start by Hikaru. He started with A3, but you see, after 6 moves, Nihal is under a bit of pressure because in this setup with Bishop F5, E6, and the pawn on D5, this idea with Queen B3, it can pose problems right away. And this is what happened. Hikaru attacked the B7 pawn with Queen B3 here. Black played Queen C8, defending the B7 pawn, and now Knight C3, simultaneously creating pressure on the D5 and the B7 pawns. Nihal was kind of forced to relinquish his center. D takes C4, Queen takes C4, and now Knight B D7, Bishop F4. This is the present position that we have. And White just has a little bit of superiority in the center, although not by much. It's less than 10 moves, but both the players have spent 20% of their time already. Both of them have spent just about a minute.
Absolutely. And then we have some predictions on the screen. Before I read them out, I also want to read out. I also want to mention to the chat that, in fact, Naka and Nihal have played a lot of games on chess.com against each other, and the win, draw, loss record is in favor of Hikaru at the moment. Hikaru has won 125 games, drawn 29, and lost 31 against Nihal on chess.com in a mix of blitz and bullet, I guess. So, incredible. I mean, the amount of games they have even played. Oh, this is a nice tactic.
Look at this. So this was the position, and Hikaru, instead of trading the queen or moving it away, goes for knight b5. Chat, a easy one to start with warm-ups. What happens if Nihal takes queen takes c4 here? Let's start with something easy, not insulting your intelligence, but we all need a warm-up. So let's start with it.
Very nice, very cute tactic there. Also, let's just read out some predictions by the chat so far. Chandrasekhar says 16-14, but kiske favor mein Chandrasekhar ji? He has not mentioned who's gonna make 16. So Jay Pardeshi also 15-15. तो उनको लग रहा है tiebreaker में जाएगी ये match.
That is the cleverest way, Soumya. Just put the score and don't write who will win. So either way, you can claim that I told you so.
That's very smart. So most people in the chat are supporting Nihal because even though Thogan says prediction 15-14, but he says Nihal will score 15. Vivekanand Singh also says the same. And Ajmal Khan is saying 2010 for Hikaru. That's huge, Ajmal. That's huge. And Akhilesh is also saying Nihal is going to win. So most of the chat thinks कि 15-14 या 15-13 ऐसा margin होने वाला है. Nihal will take the match. That's interesting. So
interesting. A couple of moves on, since queen takes c4 wouldn't have been possible because of knight into d6 check, a fork. So Nihal defended with king e7, queen b4, attacking the d6 pawn, knight to e4, defending it, not just defending it, but also threatening something like a5. Hikaru trying to distract the knight from e4 so he can hit the d6 point, but Nihal starts his counterplay with a5, queen b3. This is the present position that we have, Soumya, and it seems like Nihal has a bit of an edge here.
Looks good. I mean, king is super stuck on even. White की पहली चाल a3 शायद इतनी अच्छी नहीं होगी. Could be counted as one of the most dubious moves to play on the first move. But of course, Hikaru just having some fun there. Let's see how he handles this position because Blitz hai, and both of them have almost equal time, Shri, by the way. Even though they have played only a few moves so far, already down to 2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. This has been kind of the theme of Nihal's matchups, Soumya. He has been, it happened a lot with Ding. And in that match, we kind of thought that, at least I kind of thought that it was because of their style of play. But it turns out that the same is happening with Hikaru right now. What is happening is when you start with moves like a3, you enter into a original position pretty soon. So we are out of the opening pretty soon, and you have to start thinking on your own. And that is the reason why they are both having such less time with even though only 15 moves have been made so far.
Absolutely.
So one of the key statistical indicators is to see where the opening knowledge of the players ends and from where they start to, bishop into e4. Wow. And, Soumya, Nihal is comfortable going down on time against most players in the world. But against Hikaru, I have a feeling, I'm just making a guess, that we might see him accelerating a bit more. You don't want to allow Hikaru to exert pressure on you on the clock. Hikaru is one person you just can't, just accelerate with 10 seconds when he has 2 minutes remaining.
Absolutely. And let's just but don't you think the king on d1 is super weak, and this looks, I can see the engine saying that it's equal, but this is so dangerous for white, and black is having all the fun because d6 pawn is protected. We don't need to worry about our king here. The only point white can attack is d6, which is comfortably protected with our rook on a6, while the king on d1 feels absolutely deserted. All of his pieces have left him and gone far away, while the pieces which are near him, like the rook on h1, rook on a1, are not really able to help him. Only the bishop on f1 doing some duty to defend his king, with the d3 square being covered and the e2 as well. So, I think this position is very dangerous for white, and I feel that Nihal could take an early lead, but they have taken a draw. Oh, completely unexpected.
Yes, Soumya, while you are admiring the beauty of black's pieces, Nihal found the beauty and repetition there. So we have an peaceful outcome in the first game. Not totally unexpected because although it was nice, if white could consolidate in a few moves, white would be a piece up. And I think both the players didn't mind having a draw as a start. SCC is a format where if one has the lead, then they can really exert pressure on the opponent. And this is a match where you don't see Hikaru getting tilted often, yeah.
Yeah, he is also such a pro. Guys. Let's ask the first diamond membership of the question of the day, because this is such an interesting stat. When I found out, my mind was blown. How many title Tuesdays do you think Hikaru has won so far?
I think I would count the number of title Tuesdays that has happened so far, and I would do like 80% of that, which I think is a realistic stat. But meanwhile, chat, before we, do feel free to share your answers to that question. But we'll be giving away the diamond membership at 200 likes. So be sure to hit that like button. This is one match where we need a lot of home support for Nihal. Maybe not the one match, because if Nihal goes to the final and set up a likely clash against Magnus, I think Magnus is going to be a big favorite for the SCC this time. He's been playing so well, and I can feel that he's motivated. This is one championship that he has not won, and he will want to show that he's the boss. So if he sets up a likely final, then we will need a lot of home support there as well. But this will be a good warm up for the home support.
Nice, nice, nice. So, guys, we are definitely announcing the winner at 200 likes. But I'm watching the chat, and many of you are so far away from the mark. और कुछ आप में से काफी close है. So, yeah, keep guessing. Some of the numbers are just incredible. Avya Nair, for example, thinks 571. इतने title Tuesdays हुए हैं क्या? Is another question I have in mind. पर 571, wow. Yeah, I guess हुए होंगे because 3-4 सालों से title Tuesday चल रहे हैं, and nowadays we even have 2 title Tuesdays a week. 571 is incredible. It almost means that he's won every title Tuesdays he has played. By the way, ये position कैसी लग रही है आपको श्रीनाथ? I think it's slightly it's equal, but I would still prefer white because I see the knight coming to c5 and I see some good squares for my pieces. While with black, I'm not sure what to do.
Yes, Soumya, it's a very symmetrical position. All the pawns facing each other pretty much. Oops. Yeah. All the pawns facing each other on the same files. But these kind of positions can get very tricky for black because black is always a tempo down. Black always suffers from a bit of lack of space. And these can get very tricky for black. So I think Hikaru has to be careful. Now, QGA, this Queen's Gambit accepted, which Hikaru played in this game, is not something that I think it's not Hikaru's main opening. Although I did not follow his last SCC match against Aronian. So I'm not sure if this was the opening he used there. Chat, did he use QJ in his last SCC match?
But I like the bishop coming to b6. I think, we were discussing about how the c5 squares is a good square for our knight to land into, and the bishop b6 covers that, while on c7 it was doing literally nothing with the pawn coming to e5. It had blocked the bishop's diagonal. So with bishop on b6, now he's got a good version of the Roy Lopez. With the pawns, or maybe Italian is more like it, Italian, because the pawn is still on b7, but the bishop very well placed on the a7 g1 diagonal, and the d pawns exchanged. So black के पास जो space disadvantage होता है Italian में, वो इस position में नहीं रहा.
Right. Once again, Soumya, Nihal has a 1 minute lead at the start of the game against Hikaru, which is again pretty impressive and unexpected. Hikaru playing quite slowly as compared to normal, and Nihal playing faster than how he normally plays. Well pointed out about the position. Nihal has some pressure on the e5 point, but it seems like black has everything neutralized and under control for the moment.
Yep. And pawn on e5, little bit vulnerable, but we don't want to blunder the bishop on b3, guys. So be careful before you take the pawn on e5, because the bishop on b3 is unprotected. Rook to b1 could be an idea here, just protecting our b3 bishop and threatening to take on e5 in the future. But still, it would not, I think the tactics will still work out in black's favor, so we need to make some preparations. Even bishop a2 might not be such a bad move here.
Yeah, bishop a2 looks like a very interesting move, just protecting the bishop and making sure that both e5 and b6 are attacked simultaneously. Bishop a2, black can also respond with bishop c7 because the queen on e7 is indirectly watching over the e5 pawn.
There are so
So
many
Nihal going
answers
for a
in the
long thing there, and look at their expressions. They were both having, I think, almost the identical expression with the hand on their forehead.
Yes. I think it's just that, yeah, definitely. Also, I see that there's so many answers in the chat, Srinath, and many of them are close, but I did see the right answer there in the chat, but I cannot tell how many people got it because then it would be like सब लोग देख
Giving
लेंगे.
away too much clue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
giving away too much info. But I guess, but a lot of you guys are around the right number. I would definitely say that. काफी अच्छे guesses है. Uh, one clue I'll definitely give कि while you're guessing, let's ask the chat whether Hikaru has made a half century in the title Tuesday championships or not yet. Uh, let's discuss that, and then maybe you will be closer to the answer.
Right.
Hikaru, Kjol, meanwhile, talking about the position, very focused that Hikaru says Hikaru gotta get the knight off the f pawn to attack e4. Knight f6 से e4 लेना चाहते हैं शायद Kjol. I think that's what he means. But our queen on e2 is doing a very good job of keeping it supported, so we don't need to worry about it. So many mass exchanges and pawn coming to d4. Is this good news for black, Srinath? Because I like the pawn on d4.
I think they're going to be traded, both of them. Bishop into b3, knight into b3, and queen takes e4, queen takes e4, knight takes e4, rook takes d4. I do expect a mass trade, and with knight a5, Nihal is kind of offering a draw here. He spent a lot of time, close to 2.5 minutes, but I think he just couldn't find any way to exert more pressure. He kind of accepted that, okay, I don't have a lot here in this position, and let's just liquidate things, make some trades. Hikaru now thinking, trying to figure out if he can create something. I'm not sure if he has a clear way to exert pressure here.
Yeah, probably we'll see another draw incoming. And do you think this is one of Nihal's strategies in this match? Because, we were talking about this in the previous streams about how Nihal is having a starting problem in the SCC and then he picks up. So this could be a good way to just warm up into the match. Ki, chalo, ek do draw kar lete hai. Let's not over push,
Oh, Hikaru's gone for it. He's gone for bishop
Oh.
c8, e5, knight d5. So we have game on. Knight c3 is the threat here. Nihal probably looking at rook into d4, but that would be met by knight c3 and some knight e2 check related tactic. So maybe, I don't know, Nihal, but down to just 12 seconds. So Hikaru has definitely created some pressure. Queen f3 attacking the d5 pawn. This would get hit by knight into c3 and queen takes e5. Hikaru he just takes queen e5 directly, defending both the d4 and the d5 knight. Nihal probably not seeing that one. Knight c4 would be met by queen f4, and yes. Hikaru is a pawn up for now.
That was a tactic that Nihal missed because after queen f4, the d4 pawn remains protected. And now pawn on d3, a passed pawn, very strong, protected by the f4 knight and the d8 rook. Other rook coming to the d5.
And the second pawn also off. I think Hikaru is going to take this one, Soumya. Nihal has to give up an exchange.
Knight f4 and rook h1.
This is even stronger. And yes. Nihal loses that one on time. So Hikaru has an... man.
We are seeing some really unusual openings in this match, Srinath. Maybe we'll see new openings being invented right now in this match in SCC. c4, e5. and h3 on the board. And g4. This was, in fact, Srinath, I must tell you, an opening, a setup actually that Magnus took in one of the title Tuesdays, where he played the first move g4, then he plays h3, then he plays d3, and develops his pieces like the modern, with the knight to d2, bishop to g2, and that was his strategy with black as well. And he did that in every single game. And
Like this, like the
Hikaru,
arrows. I'm
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that was Magnus' strategy in one of the title Tuesdays, and Hikaru definitely found it to be a very fun idea, um, playing that with White himself.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what exactly if Hikaru is doing something consciously, Soumya, but he does have the psychological edge over Nihal in general, and he's probably just increasing it.
Also, I think it's his way of, having fun, because when you do something, too much of something, there is a chance of getting a little monotonous, or getting a little boredom to set him. And this is probably his way of having fun and enjoying himself, and checking his opponent's form as well. Even if he loses a game or two, he at least gets to know what kind of form his opponent is in, and he can change his strategy accordingly. Kjol, meanwhile, putting it quite well, he says, "This looks like a 1100 game. People who know theory but don't care to play it." It's hilarious. But I think Hikaru does have some concept in mind, even though he's having fun. He does know. I think he does know where he wants to put his pieces.
Where yeah, I can. I'm sure he knows where he wants to put his pieces, and the thing is with white pieces, you can't really uh, get things go too badly. You know, you can't really. Things need not necessarily go too bad if in case because you have the extra tempo with the white pieces, and
Yeah.
once again it looks like Hikaru has a bit of an edge here because of the e4 pawn, the weakness of the e4 pawn. Knight takes d5, attacking the knight on h4. For the moment, white cannot take the e4 pawn, but he can move the knight to f5, bishop at f5, g takes f5, and oh, just bishop takes e4. Why am I even this is the
Bishop.
kind of little
Oh,
tactic that Hikaru is so good at seeing. If black takes on c3, white recaptures with the pawn, and this d5 knight is always under attack. And it's the same with knight takes c3, recapture with the pawn, and the knight on h4 is always under attack.
nice tactic there. To the chat, let's get the likes going. मैंने जो इससे पहले question पूछा था, Hikaru ever has Hikaru already made a half century in Title Tuesday titles? The answer is not yet, actually. In fact, he has some ground to cover on that, and I did see a couple of right answers in the chat as well. So keep guessing if you haven't yet, and you could win yourself a diamond membership. Uh, Also, yeah, definitely. There are a lot of predictions in the chat today. Like so many, like chat is really having favorites in today's match. Like there are people in Team Nihal and Team Hikaru. So I mean, it's a lot of fun to read the chat right now. Uh, I see that Hikaru, like someone in the chat said that Hikaru is going to definitely, yeah, Tony Wong says Hikaru Nakamura is probably gonna crush Nihal Sarin in this chess match. Mm, you could be a little too early to predict that. This is very, very early in the match, and we must not forget how strong Nihal is in online chess. And yeah, so many people taking sides in the chat today. In the Yeah, it's very nice to see this. A3 on the board. Srinath. What do you
Absolutely,
think?
absolutely, Soumya. Um, this game is still quite complex because despite being a pawn up, despite white being a pawn up, black has all his pieces developed. All the pieces are out there, and white, on the other hand, is still largely undeveloped. But white, on the other hand, his biggest advantage is that not just that he has a pawn, but also that he has a very strong center. The center presence of black is virtually non-existent, but whereas white can build up the center in whichever way he wants to. So a clear advantage there for white in terms of the material and in the center, but Nihal can pose problems for black.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a another game where just like the first game of the match, Hikaru is material up, but his pieces are undeveloped. So very similar situation, except that there Hikaru was a piece up, and here he's only a pawn up. So on the other hand, his pieces are better developed than that game. Bishop now could come into the game, but as you can see, there are not many squares for the bishop. Can't come to f4, e3 पे वो मर जाएंगे और अगर व्हाइट d5 पे मास एक्सचेंजेस लेते हैं, let's say knight into d5, bishop takes and queen takes, our queen is really well placed on d5 there in the center, controlling this beautiful diagonal with a8 to h1 and posing problems for the white king. So definitely white has some serious problems to solve.
Absolutely. There is some counterplay, but you see these pawns on e3 and d4. This is the setup that I was earlier talking about. And with short castle, white doesn't really have a lot of problems on the king side because this bishop, fianched bishop, is quite effective. There is a hole on this diagonal, the d6 h2 diagonal, because of the dark square bishop, but this bishop is not going to come to this diagonal anytime soon. So this is the practical problem that Nihal faces at the moment right now, how this bishop comes into the game. And this was a major reason why d4 was so effective by Hikaru. Once he played d4 and the bishop went to b6, this bishop started being limited in its scope. And now black's counterplay is not exactly flowing. It's not clear how black manages to create something. Now, one idea in these positions is to try and get this bishop into the game by moving the pawn, but the knight on c6 blocks that as well. So Nihal plays h5, trying to weaken the f5 point, the g4 pawn, protecting the f5 knight to create some counterplay. Hikaru need not react to that. He can keep the pawn on g4 because the h3 pawn is supporting the g4 pawn.
But and we must point out that if white takes on h5, do you think it's already bad for white, because the knight on f5 will then be vulnerable, cannot be maintained on f5, and the g file opens up, making the g1 king also very vulnerable. So it was important that white does not take the pawn on h5, even though it was absolutely free to take. There are no free lunches.
Exactly, Soumya. Now, one way Nihal can create a weakness is by taking the f5 knight. So he has to, the bishop on e6 is protecting the d5 knight. So he has to take knight takes c3 first, and then take bishop takes f5, and then potentially play some queen g5 or queen to f6. But the problem is then the white pawn comes to c3, defends the d4 pawn, and allows white to play e4. So he's gone g6, trying to get access to the g4 pawn. Once again, it's just less than 20 moves, both the players down to almost 30 seconds each. They are spending a lot of time in their openings. They are going for these complex games. So far, Hikaru has been the one dominating this portion, which is not a good sign for Nihal, because if Hikaru runs into a lead, then Nihal will be playing catch up. And against Hikaru in particular, you don't want to do that.
Oh, but I love what Nihal has got here, Srinath, with bishop coming to c4, queen coming to h4. I mean, I would really fancy Nihal's chances in this game. Rook coming to h8, as you pointed out. King feeling super, super weak on g1, g5, a good move. defending the knight on h6, maintaining it. And yeah, apparently Bar loves White's position, perhaps because the knight on h6, a very strong defender as well as an attacker. Defending
Knight
the
takes d4 taken by Nihal, but queen f6 check. Is it coming? Is it coming in? Takes. I think it's a desperate measure by Nihal. And Hikaru just defends this diagonal. Nihal was trying to get some bishop e5 and queen h2. Now the queen is trapped. The queen was trapped, and with queen c3 check, I think Nihal will resign this one.
the c4 bishop also lose. Oh, this was wonderfully defended by Hikaru, and definitely painful there for Nihal, but so many games yet to go. Hikaru taking the lead with 2 points, 2.5 to half it is after 3 games. So
Absolutely. So far,
apparently
it has
A3
been.
and, apparently A3 and H3 not such bad moves in the opening, huh?
I guess if you can outplay your opponent later, it doesn't really matter what you play in the opening in this format. And Magnus and Hikaru, they're just, I think, well ahead of everyone else in this particular format, the SCC format. They're just so strong, in my honest and humble opinion. So they can literally get any position. One thing that is deciding the match, one thing that is playing a key role in this match, Soumya, is the ability to outplay in scrambles. In both the second and the third game, there was a bit of a scramble. There was a bit of a 30 seconds each kind of situation where Nihal was the one who blended a pawn. And in the previous match, Nihal lost a pawn quite early in the opening. So the one advantage that Hikaru has had in the match so far is that Hikaru is just seeing tactics a few seconds faster.
Yeah, of course, very strong. Hikaru even commentates on his bullet games and wins them on the stream. So uh, a serious magician there. We have been talking about how Nihal is a magician, but Hikaru, a more experienced magician over there. And we were talking about Magnus, Srinath. I was shocked at the score uh, between Magnus and Fabiano. I mean, I was completely shocked at the score.
Me too. I wouldn't have dreamt of it. Magnus beating these little kids, the juniors like Arjun, Gukesh. This is one thing, but people like Fabiano, people like Anish, they have been exposed to Magnus for so many years. So that Magnus effect, that fear, is something that they have gone through, they have overcome, and yet he's beating people like this. Yet he's beating competitors with whom he has spent so many years with this level of dominance. It's mind blowing actually.
I think he impressed even his harshest critics there with his with his performance. I mean, what a dominating performance, and shows you how absolutely hungry and motivated he is. And I was wondering, how does he have time to be able to practice literally all formats of the game and be so good at it, and also have a life beside that? I mean, he's also, watching all these NBA games. He has his own company, which I'm sure he participates in at least sometimes. I have
Has
no
or
idea.
used to have?
I don't know what's happening there, but definitely he has some role to play, a huge role to play as the one of the owners and brand ambassadors of his company. So, um, yeah, absolutely huge performance there by Magnus, and I think everybody agrees that he's not from this planet. I think GOAT, जो greatest of all time, जो एक title मिला जाता है, it's very clear that Magnus is going to retain it for some time at least.
Yeah, Chad, what do you think? Do you think Magnus is already the GOAT, or do you think he still needs to sustain this for a few more years to earn that title? Meanwhile, Soumya, it seems like Nihal is really getting into a higher gear here. So far in this game, he has achieved a very good pressure against Black's pawns. The king side has been weakened. The king side pawn structure. The queen side is under some kind of pressure because of this queen on b6. And Nihal also has a 2-minute advantage on the clock. And I've seen this happen quite often, he starts slowly, but then he gets motivated. He plays really fast and he takes the game into a higher gear. And so far in the fourth game of this match, it feels like Nihal has taken things a bit higher. Hikaru hasn't quite reached that. He's been reacting on the reacting end of this. So maybe Nihal is going to pull one back in this game.
Oh, that would be so great. And bishop b7, a6 pawn super vulnerable there, but a2 pawn bhi to weak hai. Hikaru saying, I will put pressure on your a2 and b3 pawns over there, not let them advance. And before there, yes, before a very nice idea pointed out by Srinath, one pawn controlling two on the queen side. But Hikaru doesn't like something. Just look at him. Look at him. He's concerned about the bishop on b7 and looking to grab it free of cost, or for the cost of two pawns perhaps. Queen b5 runs into queen c7. He doesn't like something, and I'm wondering what is it.
Maybe he just doesn't like the fact that he's a pawn down at the moment.
But
Rook
what do you
b8,
think?
Nihal can come back safely with bishop f3.
Or can he also play bishop c6 here? Is that a move, Srinath? Attacking b5 and playing bishop c6 with the tempo. So after b4, I have the move. I can even play queen a7, attack your rook on b8 and bishop on e7.
Yes, bishop c6 could have been played by Nihal Saumya, and I think it's a pretty strong move. Hikaru might have had to play something like queen c5, but Nihal chooses the safer move, bishop f3. Also not a bad move. Hikaru went back queen c7 and now rook to d1. So Nihal is a solid pawn up. He could play something like bishop d5 or keep the bishop on e2. The knight on g3 is undisturbed for the moment. And black also has this
cricket. And Ishan Garg says only one good for me, Vishy.
That's a sentiment a lot of us can relate to.
Yeah, in fact, it was his 53rd birthday last week, Srinath, on the 11th of December. And of course, all of us at some point started playing chess because of Vishy. Otherwise, at least players who started playing after Vishy, the whole generation would have never thought of taking up chess as a profession if not for his example. So definitely, Ishan Garg, I'm with you there. H6 on the board. And do you think Black has solved his problems and the queen on a6 feeling completely out of place on a6 with no way back home?
I don't think so, because these weaknesses, it still remains. So I think Nihal just also queen on a6 might not have a lot of squares, but there is also no threat against the queen. So Nihal can continue to play slowly. One idea is to play bishop e2, bishop d3, and target the f5 pawn. Another idea is to go bishop d5 and try and distract this bishop from defending the f5 pawn. These are two ideas that comes into my mind. E4 and knight f5 is also an option, trading the knight against the bishop, going into the opposite color bishop middle game. Although this I would be...
Oh, sorry. Don't you think we need to be careful while playing e4? क्योंकि मुझे यहाँ बैठकर ऐसा लग रहा है कि queen c6 एक option है हमेशा जब भी हमारी queen attack होगी, and when we play e4 we are blocking the bishop's path to that diagonal, and then our queen on a6 is completely trapped, even though knight f5 coming in. I see your point.
Yes, it's all concrete. It's all concrete, and Nihal has played e4. The point is rook b6. There is always queen e5, and against bishop c8 we always have knight f5 check. So this bishop on e6 cannot attack the queen, and the rook also, against the rook's attack also we have a way out. So this is one of the ways to go into an endgame where white has no risk of losing. It's very much in Nihal's style to do something like this song. He loves to eliminate opponents' chances completely. The drawback, though, is that it just simplifies a bit too much. So black can put the pawn on b4 and try and trade the rook. So Nihal refrains from playing knight f5. Instead, he goes knight h5. I think his next move is bishop to g4, trading the light square bishop and keeping the knight on. King g6 played by
Which
Hikaru. Now,
is not
I didn't see that one coming.
not to g8 but to g6, because he what could be the idea? He wants to
He wants to trap the knight on
the
h5 long
h5
term.
knight attacked and perhaps take king h5 sometime in the future.
Yes, and even if he doesn't capture it, the knight is simply immobilized for the moment. So this is the problem. Nihal can bring this knight back into the game with g3, fg, knight
g3.
g3, and I think Hikaru didn't might have underestimated this idea because now Nihal is a clear pawn up in the endgame, and this can go bad for Hikaru very fast.
G3, a very good resource there found by Nihal. The only one to bring the knight back. Hikaru insisting to trap the knight. F3, knight still has no way back home. Rook d3, attacking the pawn on f3, and it's lost because rook f6 not possible. Knight controls the square. So rook a6, rook into a2. Bishop on e7 still controls the knight, but f4 coming in, as Srinath has pointed out,
Yeah,
and at some point, we'll even get f4, f5, and rook to c7, or already rook to c7, and knight g7 now is a move, for example.
absolutely, but that risks going into a 4 versus 4 rook endgame, and this rook b2 was a very important move by Hikaru, which recaptures the pawn. There is f4 f5 ideas, but Hikaru is just too fast for those things. He just finds a way to get his king out into the game, and this has liquidated into this is pretty much liquidated into a draw, or is Hikaru still trying actually? Yeah, this has liquidated into a draw. Rook b6, but yeah, this was very powerful defense by Hikaru. He's just been a bit faster than Nihal so far, and
Definitely
it's 3-1 at the end of the first 4 games. Disappointment
extraordinary.
seen in Nihal's face there. You can now.
Wow. Absolutely every single move will be played as long as it doesn't cross the third rank in this game by Hikaru in this match. And yeah, I think extraordinary defense there by Hikaru in that position, showing us why he is so strong. And he's the current SEC world champion. Sorry, current SEC champion, not current. He's the current
Uh,
rapid.
it's true though.
We
What
show
you said is
random
true.
because the whole world plays SEC.
Even the world champion Magnus Carlsen is playing, so he's the kind of
Yeah.
SEC world champion.
Yeah, I think petition to chess.com to rename SCC to SCC World
That chess.com might run into trouble, because but we can get away with it in the commentary.
Champion. E4, bishop b4 there. E4 pawn abhi. Actually, e4 square a very nice spot for the knight. After e5, knight e4 will be played, and our knight has this wonderful square on e4, threatening knight into c3 and ruining white's pawn structure.
Right.
And white always needs to be careful while castling because we have taken h into g6, so our rook on h8, enjoying the h file. And once white short castles, the h2 pawn will be that much easier to attack. So I think white will definitely. Oh, white has in fact gone for short castle, and black also does that.
Yeah, this feels like a position out of the French exchange or the Petrov defense. Nihal has a very comfortable position out of the opening, nothing to worry. Meanwhile, chat, do hit that like button. So we have our diamond membership giveaway answer at 200 likes, and we will also come up with a new diamond membership question. So do hit that like button so more people can tune in and support our boy Nihal, who is yet to win a game so far, but he has held his own.
So what do you think, Chad? Will this be that game where Nihal gets his first win, or do you think he needs the white pieces to show his magic?
Very
Bishop H5.
That's a difficult question to answer. When will be Nihal's first strike, but to do that he has to get this tactical edge over Hikaru, and it's not for lack of trying. In fact, Nihal was doing puzzle rush just right up to the lead up of his match against Hikaru. Even when he was on the Zoom call, he was still practicing the 3 minute puzzle rush. So it's definitely not for the lack of trying. But Hikaru is just very, very, very sharp, and it seems like he's brought his A game so far.
Absolutely, and Hikaru with a lot of support from pineapples. I can see that there is a huge pineapple sign behind him in this in his video, and I'm wondering why Nihal doesn't get any coconut water to the stream just for that extra boost, energy boost, and compete with the pineapple.
Hikaru has food and Nihal has his bookshelf, Soumya. So
Shelf books.
Hikaru,
Books
yes.
are what are going to help Nihal. When I was I think everyone did it at some point. So when I was studying BCom, I was so disinterested in my uh, subjects. I basically studied BCom because I wanted to graduate and move on to the law course. So I used to literally sleep with the textbooks below my pillow at night before the exam. So that
Create a
कुछ
neurological
magically
connection.
magically उनका जो उनमें जो सब कुछ लिखा है मेरे ब्रेन में चले जाए in case any such magic exists, taking advantage of all the shortcuts.
Did it
So
work?
वैसे ही नहीं था. Huh?
Did it work?
It worked. I cleared my exams, so it definitely worked. It works, Chad. You can try.
Okay, chat. So Soumya's tip for your exam. Let's see. It worked for BCom. Now let's see if it works for NEET and other exams.
I think BCom most things work out. Rook A C1, and yeah, again I prefer black's position, but white also. We see this beautiful knight on e4, but white can also get his knight to e5 at any point. Only thing is his knight on e2 might not be very well placed because it's just defending the d4 pawn. It's not doing anything much. While our knight on f6 is better than that one. So I think on that comparison, I still prefer black.
Yeah. Black is definitely more active. The pieces have better squares. There's also some areas to attack for black. The c4 point, for instance, which Nihal was exerting pressure. He played bishop a3, got the rook out from the c line, and then attacked with knight d6. Hikaru defends with knight e5, but now Nihal goes after the d4 and the c4 pawns. So d takes c4 is a threat, and Hikaru will potentially play rook f d1. But you see how Nihal is gradually exerting pressure, increasing it move by move, forcing Hikaru to spend some of his time.
Yeah, but
But what's happening here? Why did the bar increase?
Has less time. It's funny, and it's usually the case in this match so far that Hikaru has less time in the middle game, and then in the time scramble, he outplays Nihal in the tactics. So Nihal needs to make sure that he maintains this time advantage. I feel that could be a good strategy, even though obviously easier said than done. But maybe if he can just be a little more mindful about the time he's taking in the middle game positions, that could help him.
Absolutely, Soumya. That was a great insight. Hikaru is basically doing a Nihal to Nihal, Nihal has an amazing ability that regardless, and I don't understand what's happening there, Soumya. It was 0.9 for white in this position. Hikaru took a whole minute and played rook f d1, which was the most natural move, which I thought. And it's back to -1 for Nihal. So Nihal once again having a minute of advantage on the clock, as well as uh, advantage in the position, pressure in
Yeah,
the position.
definitely. And actually, the difference, one more difference which we forgot to point out is the d4 pawn is the weakness in white's position, while the d5 pawn is not a weakness for black because the c6 pawn defends it. So the d5 pawn can be protected with the pawn on c6, while the c4 pawn already pushed to the fourth rank. So the d4 pawn can anytime be very vulnerable for white, and that is the problem in white's position at the moment, apart from the e2 knight.
Yeah, yeah.
And I also
Apart
don't
from
see,
the
and I also don't see what the rook is doing on b1. So some of his pieces are really misplaced, Srinath.
yes, Nihal kind of forced it off to b1 with bishop a3. It was on c1 earlier.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't let he's built up pressure right from the beginning, and now I think he takes the c4 pawn, rook into d1, queen takes c4. Hikaru cannot take the f6 knight because the e2 knight hangs. So queen takes c4, and the e2 knight is also protecting the bishop on f4. Hikaru can retaliate with queen takes b7, but that might that just blunders the knight. So queen takes c4 and queen takes b7 not possible. E takes f6. There is potentially rook takes e2. And now is there an intermezzo with rook d8 check, king h7, and f takes g7? This variation does get interesting. Is
This
there
gets
some rook d8 check, king h7, and f g7?
this gets very complex. G7, what a nice spot there. Rook into b2 runs into g8, queen, and checkmate. So that's something we should not blunder into. We must take knight g7 for sure. Luckily, हमारा knight काफी well placed है. So knight comes to
But then
g7.
queen f6.
Oh, this is getting so dangerous for black again, Sri. Do we play queen to b5 and try to defend with queen h5 ideas? Or is that a simple blunder? Yes, queen
Yeah,
f7.
I think queen b5. Yeah, I think black should just hold this position, Soumya, and maybe some rook e1 check. No, okay, I'm not going to make moves here because the computer is going to
But I
crush
also like
me.
queen c5. Queen c5 is nice because we attack the f2 point. So we don't allow queen f7 because queen f2, queen g2 is a
Oh,
checkmate.
meanwhile, we have this exact position on the board.
Yeah.
Queen f6. It has happened, and Nihal is the one down on time with 20 seconds now.
So queen c5 might.
And he's gone rook e6.
He's gone rook e6, queen g5, queen h6. How do we prevent that? Knight to f5. Wow. Knight on f5. What a great defender, defending the h4 square as well as the h6 point. So for now, no checkmate on black.
No checkmate, and Nihal was threatening some rook e1, queen f1 himself, Soumya. So Hikaru just doing a bit of prophylaxis there, taking the king to h2. A very uncomfortable move to face. f6, there is queen g4 or rook d7 check. f6, there's rook d7 check. Nihal down to just 3 seconds. This is very dangerous territory against Hikaru. He goes queen e4, keeping the queen and rook in harmony.
Especially this position is extremely dangerous. Rook coming to d7 now, attacking the f7 point. So rook e7, good move. Rook e8.
Yeah, this is a typical fast move. He just keeps everything protected and defended. Oh, Nihal going for he's refused the repetition. He's going for it. And he's saying, I'm pawn up, so why do we make a draw? And Nihal kind of has to do it. He has to try and take his chances. Maybe King G, yeah, b5, he's regained the pawn, and Nihal shaking his head there, probably just missing it with the little time he had. Knight g7 protecting the h5 point. Queen f3, the queens are off. Bad pawn structure for white. And Nihal might have chance to exert pressure. He's taken his pawn back, so he's back a pawn up, but the king is cut off by the rook, which is why it is such a low evaluation. Hikaru once again coming on with the active king g6, rook into f4, rook c5, b4, rook c7, and now the pawns are going to be traded. So
black certainly has chances to win this. King to coming to b8. Wonderful idea by Nihal there. Rook coming to f2 maybe. Let's push the f pawn. Let's keep the a2 pawn attacked. And oh, now it's a completely equal position, and this will be a draw soon because the a2 pawn will be constantly protected with the rook, and with equal material, no chance for any side. But wonderfully played there by Nihal Sarin.
Yeah, and Hikaru visibly heaving a sigh
Upset.
of relief there.
I also
Nihal
feel like
visibly showing frustration there.
But I also feel like Nihal put a lot of pressure on Hikaru by refusing the repetition over there and choosing to play on, like showing his intentions. I think that was a very good decision by Nihal. Let's applaud him for the way he has played here. Do we take a small break now, Shri, or do we? Yeah,
Yes, let's go in for a break. But chat before that, once again, do hit that like button. Let's get the likes past
let's
200. And when we come back, the diamond membership giveaway.
Yes, we are definitely announcing it right now in 5 minutes. So get some water and come back to the stream. See you. and game has started. So there we have Nihal playing white in this in the sixth game of the match so far. Again, very very uh, normal position from the opening. Bishop on b2, fianchetto. Knights very well placed. निहाल की हमेशा अच्छी आ जाती है मुझे लगता है मिडिल गेम में. उनके पीसेस सारे ही पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं. But here Hikaru also playing a somewhat normal opening. So with black he's going for more standard opening, Shri, and with white he's having a little bit of fun with his setups. That's what I've observed so far. And also, before we discuss the game any further, let's announce the winners of our diamond membership, shall we? So what do you think, guys? किसने जीत what do you think was the score? The score for everyone who's predicted scores. The question was कि how many times has Hikaru won title Tuesday? तो सारे लोग जिनको लगा कि 537 times या 235 times Hikaru ने जीता है, तो not yet, even though we might see that number in the future, but Hikaru has not yet crossed a half century. उन्होंने अब तक 41 times 41 times title Tuesday जीता है, and I thought that's huge. I mean, that's absolutely crazy. And two people got it right. So let's be fair and give both of them a diamond membership, because such a difficult question, and I'm amazed that two people actually got it right. One was Anmol Bindru, and another person who got it right was Venkat Raman. So congratulations, Anmol and Venkatji. Hope you enjoy your diamond membership to the fullest. Play a lot of games, analyze, play puzzle rushes. It's huge. It's a lot of fun. This diamond membership. You can also take lessons on chess.com and analyze your games with Stockfish. So definitely do contact Rakesh and claim your diamond membership and utilize it to the fullest. Congratulations. So Anshika is saying, I missed a diamond membership question too. Wow, yes, but you do have the diamond membership already, na, Anshika? But I think ये बहुत ही difficult question था, and when I was given this information, I was totally amazed. We see Srinath here, but I think hi Sri, can you hear us? So there seems to be a technical issue, but we let's look at the position on the screen. Hikaru, they're making a lot of expressions. Unko, can anyone in the chat actually read Hikaru's expressions? Because I'm not very good at it, but maybe regular members of Hikaru streams can actually read his expressions. B5 and knight will definitely go to E5. Knight centralize ho jayega. Bishop will then go to D7, and very very symmetrical and equalish position. Bishop on D4, quite well placed, but it can be challenged with bishop to F6. So definitely black is doing fine in this position. Kaushik is saying Anshika wants Kohinoor, not diamond. हाँ, Kohinoor भी तो diamond ही है. अच्छा, Kohinoor वाला diamond membership. Maybe we should introduce for Indian audience. Kohinoor बहुत ही special perks रहेंगे. Sohail says, Hikaru saying ये तो छोटा पैकेट बड़ा धमाका है. And Kyol is saying that Hikaru is thinking, so I take, then I take, check, and queen e4 and mate. Oh yeah, look at him doing his Head nod, take. Oh, I mean, Hikaru, one of the most expressive players. Definitely. Hikaru, Nepo, Magnus, always giving a lot of expressions. Arjun, our boy, on the other hand, giving no expressions at all. And Nihal, I think Nihal is also comparatively more expressive in the Indian juniors. आपको क्या लगता है? Which Indian player do you think gives a lot of expressions, Chad?
Hi,
And
hi, Soumya. Hi,
oh
Chad.
yeah, we have Srinath back. So Shri, I had a lot of fun commentating, but I really missed you. I hope now the audio issues have been resolved and uh, we can be
I
enlightened by
hope
what
so
you
too.
think.
I hope so too. Thank
What do
you
you
so
think of
much. Yeah.
the position, Srinath?
It looks nice for Nihal, just off the beat. The c5 square, there is pressure on the light squares, the d5 point. This knight cannot move. And there's a good bit of uh, control for white overall in this position. But yeah, it's a very small advantage, a very small edge for the white. But yeah, I think Nihal has an edge, and this has been the way things have gone in the last 2 or 3 games for Nihal. He has been exerting this pressure. Hikaru has somehow managed to defend, and he has somehow managed to not lose a game so far. But it feels like it's only going to be a matter of time.
Yeah, and Dibin John with a suggestion there. He is asking if Queen B2, placing the queen on this long diagonal of A1 to H8 and making a battery could be a good idea. Bishop A3, not possible anymore because Bishop controls that square. But yeah, nice suggestion there by Dibin. Black would have anyway challenged the bishop on the diagonal with bishop to F6 had that happened. But now White will not have that chance anymore. To make a battery. And Srinath, I had asked Chad, and I would like to ask you as well. Who do you think is
He's
one
the
of the
most
most
expressive
expressive
player.
from India?
I think Nihal is definitely one of the expressive players, no?
Yeah, I think he is, but I would say there are more expressive players. Even Nihal sometimes it's
Shashi.
not clear. Shashi very expressive there, definitely. But Shashi, chat को शायद पता नहीं होगा because Shashi has not played a lot of online events. Shashi very expressive there, and you have been his captain. Also, do you think the bishop on a3 is sort of trapped now? I'm just
It
curious.
is trapped, and there's no way to take it immediately, but the bishop is immobilized. There seems to be a pressure on b4, but that's also not a real pressure because the b7 bishop is vulnerable. So I think Nihal certainly he's keeping the pressure on. He's really upping the pressure, and he's continued from where he's left off. So bishop c5, knight e5. This is one of the potential idea that I can think of. He just plays rook b1, which makes a lot of sense, defending the b4 point. Rook c8 played, rook b3. Yeah, it's very simple. Bishop c1 is a possible idea, but Nihal can keep the queen in the bishop's vicinity so that the bishop has nowhere to go. Queen c2. Even if the queens get traded, let's say queen c2, rook c2, even then the bishop on c1 has no future. It went from a3 to c1, but it still has no squares. And white can even take and play king f1. But Nihal down to less than 20 seconds once again, Soumya. And he goes knight c5, cutting the connection between the rook and the bishop. This allows the bishop to get up to d2, but still no escape. And king f1, king e2, the king can come in and take away the d2 square from the bishop. Nihal, in fact, goes for that. The only problem is the Hikaru has gained a bit of an advantage on time. Knight b6, attacking the g2 point, but does it allow some rook b1?
Oh, I was
Oh,
also
bishop
thinking of knight
f3.
b6 ideas because the bishop knight on b6 was hanging, but Nihal goes for bishop f3, allowing knight c4. Now d2 is controlled, but the bishop on c1 still very stuck. A5 coming in, Srinath. Can we simply take the pawn? No, because the
Oh,
knight on c1.
a4. What a way to respond. But all the pawns get traded now, Soumya. All the pawns are getting traded. I don't think that's a good response. It looked flashy, but it was not of much substance. And Black has got out his bishop. The bishop has been rescued. Black is out of danger. Knight b2, a draw offer by Nihal. Knight a3, Hikaru keeping it going because he has the positive momentum. He came back from a bad position. Rook a6, the rook coming into a2. Now Hikaru is the one trying to get something out. This is now we a couple of repetitions. This has been powerful performance once again by Hikaru. Once again, taking the upper hand in the scramble portion. Once again, keeping the psychological dominance over Nihal. The knights
Definitely.
are
I
off,
think the bishop was.
and now it's White who is exerting some pressure. The king more active. King f5, g6. King. Oh, he was so close. Hikaru was so close to going low on time there. Just 3 seconds. Hikaru under some real pressure. You can see he's alert there. White as the e pass pawn now. And rook d5 trying to create a passer. Now he'll advance his pawns. e5, rook d7. Hikaru shaking his head, not happy. e6, king f5, bishop e5 coming. Could this grease? Oh, he's back at the rook. Yes, he's back at the rook. And Nihal has won that first game in the semi-final of the SEC.
Oh wow, Srinath, this has been such a thrilling game, and kudos to Nihal for getting his first win. Wow, this is epic and a very nice smile there by Hikaru in the end. And now he's analyzing the game to himself, I guess, or maybe there's some issue. The technical issue. It's the game is not restarted, so maybe they're discussing what's happening. But yeah, superb win by Nihal, and he gets.
Yeah, absolutely. Nihal showing that he just can't be bullied there in any situation. If you take it too far, he's going to make you pay for it. And Soumya, these are the two top-rated blitz players on chess.com, I think. And after 6 games, they haven't given much inch to each other. And Hikaru, after that first defeat, he's going back to normal chess openings. He started with 1 d4, which some people might argue is the best first move in the history of chess. And now we are back to, I think, the usual.
Yes, and I'm really happy to see Nihal get his first win. Guys, आपको कैसा लगा निहाल का game अब तक? I mean, I'm really happy for him that because he's playing really well. And as we were mentioning, his only problem was that he was falling short in the time scramble. But here he actually won up Hikaru there. So that's already a good sign, and we can expect.
Yes, chat. मजा आया कि नहीं?
बहुत.
Play the same, take Hikaru to the last seconds. He's Devin John, who's a big fan of Nihal from the looks of it. And there's also a chat from Anshika, Soumya. What stakes today for dares from Srinath sir and Soumya?
Oh my God. Sure, we could do a dare. Let's.
Should we have a contest of who makes the most NEET jokes today? Should that be our dare for the day?
I mean, I have no idea about NEET. Like, I mean, you are like so updated because your chat is full of NEET, Anshika, and I'm sure more people in the chat. But मुझे कोई भी idea नहीं है. तो ये dare तो तुम hands down जीत जाओगे. I have a fun dare.
Yeah.
We can do a contact. We can do a dare of who gives more Kerala context in under 1 minute.
More Kerala context. Oh, Bishop and C6 by Hikaru there. Is it something?
And bishop c5 runs into pawn takes bishop, queen takes the pawn and b4. So it's still a pin, and we lose both the bishops due to a pin. That is the point. And bishop on h4 very well protected by the knight on f3. So we don't need to worry about loose pieces dropping off as white. And black is under some pressure right now.
Absolutely, Soumya. But the computer is cool as a cucumber. under no pressure at all. Maybe knight e5 is the move which defends, and no, knight e5 is not the move. So how do we defend this pawn?
Because
Is it
rook
knight c5, d takes c6, and rook e4?
No, knight c5 I thought will run into b4, Shri. That was my concern. But maybe you just move the bishop now. It makes a lot of sense now that I look at this move. Or bishop a4, wonderful move there spotted. So,
But
yeah,
knight
let's.
c5, d takes c6, and what now?
And now queen c6. Let's not blunder the knight the same way as we blundered the bishop in the previous line. b4 again, pinning and winning the piece. So, that doesn't work. A5 is possible, and then the c6 uh, pawn could be extremely vulnerable and could be asked to take on the next move.
Yeah, I think this is the move. We cracked it with trial and error. But Nihal, unfortunately, not having the benefit of the evaluation bar, he goes knight b8 instead, which is also not a bad move at all. Which is also not at all a bad move, a much more human move, so to speak. The point is, whenever this knight moves, the h2 pawn is hanging. So knight d4, bishop into h2 check, king h1, queen f4 comes in, and black is out of the jail. And any other way to attack the c6 knight will just be met by rook a c8. So everything under control for now. Knight b8 played by Nihal, and the fight is actually on. Yeah, it hasn't really felt like anyone has dominated anyone.
Absolutely. I mean, I saw this. I see the score 3.5, 2.5. Looks completely normal. Just one extra win for Hikaru. Definitely, Nihal has so much scope to catch up with almost 2 hours and 10 more minutes to go in the match. So, lots of more games to be played. Um, Kjol says still scary for black. The knight is only defended by the queen and it's pinned. I think he meant the position with the knight on c5, but knight to b8. Very interesting decision there by Nihal, Srinath. I mean, the idea, I mean, just bringing back your piece to so as to take the pawn back, and actually you will develop your knight once again. It's funny because the knight was already developed on d7, then you brought it back to your original square, and after pawn takes the bishop, we take back the pawn with a knight and develop it again. So
Yeah,
very
redevelopment
good.
project of the night. Uh,
Queen
but
a4.
Hikaru, after a very long think, Soumya, Queen a4 he has played, Rook
Hmm.
ac8 defending the knight. I think Nihal has no problems at all, and the position is completely equal.
Yes, very, very nice idea found by Nihal. He took his time but found this wonderful idea with knight going back, taking on c6 and bringing his rook to c8. b4 is no problem. We can even move our queen right now to b7, or we can even play rook to e4. I think that's also a move, pinning the b4 pawn instead.
Yeah, pinning the b4 pawn and also threatening bishop into h2 check. Rook e4 has his multiple ideas. Uh, and
I
one
actually
of them
don't
is
see how white will respond, Shri, for rook e4. Does he have to play bishop g3 now?
he might need to, Soumya, because the point is if black takes rook takes b4 here, chat can you okay. I was thinking rook into c6, but it doesn't work because the queen on c7 is protected. So this doesn't work, and black can actually take the pawn on b4, which means bishop g3 doesn't save white from losing a pawn here. So, what move can possibly be played by white here? The question back at you, Uno reverse.
No, it's not clear at all. I mean, rook e4 looks like such a good move. b5 is not possible. Queen is hanging. Bishop h2 is the threat. So we cannot just play a move like rook e1, for example. And G3 is too ugly, first of all. Secondly, it also runs into rook b4 and g5. Um, Bishop g3 looks like the
Yeah,
only move after rook e4, and
but
white
both
will
the
have to
players
find
see
a
something we don't, Soumya, because Nihal took his own time. He finally played Rookie 4 just now, but he spent almost more than a minute there. What are these players seeing that we are not seeing? I mean, don't answer that question literally, because then that brings out 100 answers. But it's just a3, bishop h2, knight h2, rook into h4, knight f3. So in the end, you just had to give up the pawn. No, that in fact, Hikaru also didn't figure out. So maybe we are not so bad after all.
not so bad after all. That was a nice way to put it. And rook c3, doubling on
Knight
the
d4,
c5.
knight d4. I want to play knight d4 now.
Oh, knight d4. Knight d4, such a brilliant idea, Srinath. Knight d4. Rook c7 pe kya hoga, chat? This is your time to shine. Oh, look at the bar. It gives you the best clue ever. पूरी की पूरी ब्लैक की ही लाइन है, व्हाइट की लाइन ही नहीं बची है. क्या खेलेंगे आप यहाँ पर as
Yeah,
black?
I'm also surprised why Nihal is thinking so much, Soumya. Maybe he's just trying to make sure or what's happening because he hasn't still played knight d4 or knight e5. And wow, he's down to 10 seconds, less than 10 seconds,
What
and plays
happened?
the move queen to b7,
Hey, knight
which
d4
is
was such a
not a good move.
Knight d4 was such a good spot. I mean, if Nihal would have found it, he would have played it. Probably he just doesn't see it. And b5, uh, decent idea actually. You know, taking the pressure off the c6 knight, but queen c2 is still possible, and then knight d4 will run into rook c8 check. The game
Absolutely.
still
So
goes on, I guess. No, it's over, sorry, because the queen on c2 covers the h7 square as well. So what does Nihal have for queen to c2?
good question there. But both these players again seeing stuff we not. I think you have to play rook c4. Rook c4, queen c2 played on the board, rook c4 on the board. And if you take on c4, yeah, knight e7 was a point, but queen f4 was probably missed by Nihal, which defends the c1 rook. And now once again the game changing in Hikaru's favor. He has an extra pawn on the queen side. He has a good 30-second advantage, which is very valuable in a situation like this. b5 controlling the c6 square, but Nihal finding knight f5 a very, very useful defensive move. But Hikaru still with the advantage because queen b1 check, king h2, and there is no way to defend the a7 pawn. Nihal almost losing on time. Queen f5 with the idea of queen h5, queen
Queen
d1,
h5, queen
a
d1.
perpetual. Hikaru has a lot of time to find a defense against it. He finds it f3, and now the king is very safe. Queen e1 is a possible defense. This queen e8, queen e4 ends the game, Soumya. Hikaru
Oh,
doesn't
the
spot
queen.
it, and he now realizes it. He realizes it on a lag, few seconds lag. He's like, what did I do, chat? What did I do?
But don't you think this is so difficult for Black, Srinath? With the pawn as a passer, all white needs to do is avoid the perpetual check.
It's not easy for white also to advance his position, Soumya, because black has all these checks coming in, and the king is very, very vulnerable. The queen has no easy way to move forward whilst keeping the b6 pawn protected. So he keeps it protected with queen f2, but the king is very vulnerable now. And with the king on g7, the queen being in this diagonal, black will not have any more checks. He has one now. Queen e5 check
Queen
is a
e5.
possibility, but just king g8 and then queen g1 will become a threat. So he plays queen d4, keeping the g1 square under control. And white's best chance in these situations is to bring the king forward, is to bring the king out from that perpetual corner and try and advance the b pawn. So this is what Hikaru is doing. This is very tricky for black, but he can still continue to give these annoying checks. He's also taken the g4 pawn, and now maybe queen f3, queen g1. What a nice move by Nihal. Queen
One
d6,
king to
queen.
d6.
Yeah, now
Wow.
just keep checking.
Keep checking and hope that it works. That is Black's plan in this position. Luckily, the king is very far away on g7, so no question of the queen getting exchanged by
And
some
now
check.
queen d5. So this is the defensive idea. Queen c5 check. Just keep checking and defend from this diagonal, pin from this diagonal. When you get a respite Oh, Queen C7
Queen
check. Queen C7
C8.
check.
Oh,
Queen
F6, not
C7
the
check
best.
was the idea.
Yeah, F6 maybe not the best idea as black because it opens up this rank. But okay, in time pressure, it's very hard to criticize. King E7, Queen E4, and King F8, Queen B4.
Oh, the king is hiding on
Hey,
H8, Soumya. It's hiding on H8,
wow.
and I think Hikaru has taken
What a
this
dip.
one. The bar has
What
stopped updating. Literally, it has stopped updating. It stays at 2.0.
what an
The game has been so
incredible
fast.
what an incredible resource by Hikaru there, getting his king to H8 and
And still, the
finding
game
a
is
way to
on.
take his pawn.
Nihal's still fighting on, but I think it's now with the checks, he's got to resign. What a fight that was! What a fight!
Incredible.
And Nihal didn't deserve to lose that. You know, he was the one. He was the one who had the upper hand for most of that game. It's the margin of error is just so small in this match, and this 2 point lead of Hikaru is just going to be so annoying to face for Nihal.
Absolutely incredibly resourceful play by Hikaru, by the way, taking his king all the way to H8 from H2, in fact. And yeah, Nihal putting up a great fight there. I do feel like he has a lot of things to be happy about. Even in the previous game, even though the result didn't go in his favor, he had a great position. And a lot of our chat got the tactic right as well. So let me just read out. They found the knight f3 check idea with giving the queen sacrifice on c7 and rook h4 mate. So Suganya, Hemang, and Dibin, all three of them got the knight f3 idea there. Great job, guys. But the game was going so fast that we didn't get a time to look at the position. निहाल with the white pieces, उनकी जो एक विन आई है अब तक इस मैच में वो white से आई है. And he's been getting very good positions in the middle game. He needs to मतलब वो जो
Yeah,
मोमेंट
somehow
है
in the
ना.
end, Hikaru is
हाँ.
just tricking him. You know, like how you trick a little kid. He just snatching it away from Nihal so far. But the good thing for Nihal is that in the last 4 games of this match, after the third game, Nihal has been the one having the upper hand in each one of the games, regardless of white or black. He's been the one exerting pressure. He's been the one to put Hikaru under pressure. And although he hasn't got the wins yet, exerting pressure is the first step towards it.
Yes, absolutely. And I think वो जो moment आ रहा है ना उनके पास, uh, if he can just it's obviously easier as commentators to find all the tactics, especially when you have the luxury of going wrong as well and the help of the bar. But still, if Nihal can find those moments, like playing knight d4 at the right moment, or not going for the move f6, which weakened the second rank and as a result allowed a lot the queen c7 check idea in the previous game. So these small things, uh, yeah, but I think Nihal also senses it. He senses that he's playing a stronger opponent today who is not going to give him any chance and going to take all of his chances. So he senses it, and I think,
Yeah, Soumya. But to be honest, just in terms of the quality of the games, it hasn't really felt like Hikaru has been clearly stronger than Nihal. Uh, it, to me, it feels like Hikaru just seized two of the moments better in the match so far. It was
yes,
just those 2 moments. Aside from that, I think it has been a very evenly fought match, and which is impressive because one thing 29-25 for Hikaru, so that's almost like 5-1 ratio. That's a kind of psychological dominance that Hikaru has had over the years, but that was in the past. And in recent times, in the 3 games that they faced off against each other in the Tata Steel, India, Rapid, and Lids, it was 1.5, 1.5 for Nihal. I mean, 1.5, 1.5, an equal score. So
yes.
it feels like Nihal is going towards equalizing things against Hikaru. And in general, you see Hikaru beating people with a very early lead. He plays matches in such a way that you're never in doubt as to who's the better player. But today has not been one of those matches.
Yes, 100%. And I feel like if, yeah, absolutely. And I feel, as you pointed out, Srinath, that Hikaru's advantage in this match so far has been not in terms of level of play, but in terms of seizing the chances that he's getting.
But
So if
this is the
Nihal can
fifth
also
game in a
do the
row in
same.
which Nihal has. Sorry. I'm really sorry, Soumya. But I just wanted to point out that Nihal has a clear advantage now.
Oh, yeah, that is true. And with the wow, actually, the A7 pawn hanging and the rook coming to the seventh rank, the other rook, and forming a battery on the seventh rank. Right now, the knight does a great job of defending G7, but once you exchange it with the bishop on G3, you allow problems on the G7 square and for the king. So you need to maintain the knight on F5.
Yeah, and the big danger for black here, Soumya, is this A pawn, which just goes ridiculously fast. And apart from the A pawn will be faster than the D pawn. It's easier to control this D pawn. The bishop is very much nearby, but to control the A pawn will not be easy for Hikaru. There are also ways in which white can threaten the d5 pawn. Like, let's say, for instance, you start with bishop c7. The rook, if it goes to d7 here, then then white has this cute little tactic with bishop a5, trading the trading one of the rooks and paving the way for the a pawn. He goes for rook c3. In fact, rook c3 h5. This is the present position. And rook c3 is a very useful move. The rook defends the pawn on b3 from d3, and it also protects the d5 pawn.
C3 a very natural move to play. Also with the idea that if black takes on G3, we can even take with the rook on G3 and attack the G7 point at whenever that happens. So rook C3, a multi-purpose move, rook on D3, supporting the B3 pawn and preventing the D4 pawn from advancing. And now we
Yes,
are
and
free
bishop
to
f4.
yeah, now we are free to move even G4, Srinath, after bishop F4.
Yes, Soumya, we are free to move the g pawn. We are also free to push this rook away from the b4 point. So our pawns just go uninterrupted. What happens is g4, it eliminates the knight from defending the d4 pawn. It moves it away. It forces it to move. The knight has to move away. The d4 pawn becomes a weakness. Bishop d2 would attack the rook on b4, and it would also push that back. So this rook on d8 would be the only one defending the d4 point. Bishop on d2 also protects any approach from the opposition rook on the d3 rook. So it's going to be a very powerful bishop here, the defensive bishop on d2. And in fact, can you just do bishop d2 and g4? There might be some knight h4. So I think now Nihal will start to advance his pawn with a5 b4 or b4 b5. Either one of these two things.
Oh,
There is the threat of rook c2, rook e8, rook e2 though.
but it's a very, very long plan, and a move like king f1 prevents all kind of penetrations on the seventh rank by the rook on e8. So that's okay. On the other hand, we keep advancing our a pawn, and I, I I think Nihal has this under control. Nihal goes for b4, not a5. So he wants to push both the pawns together. Kadam kadam badhaeja. b5, and now a move like rook b3 is not possible because the bishop is hanging on d2. But can we move the bishop to e1 or a5 even? Are these ideas possible in this position? A5
a5
would
or the a4
blunder.
pawn hangs.
A5 would blunder the a4 pawn. But
But
how
what we
about
can
bishop
do is
e1?
I don't want to move this
Oh
bishop even
yeah,
there's rook e1 and
and we
uh,
don't have rook e7. Yes.
but yeah, in general, I would prefer to keep the bishop here. Not fix something that ain't broken. And I think Nihal just attacks the d4 pawn and tries to bring his king to g3. There is also space for the king after knight
Rook
h4, king
h4.
h2.
No, king h2 would blunder rook d2. We have to be careful.
Ah,
So
right,
bishop
right, right.
f4. Nice move there.
Oh, he's missed rook b5.
Oh, rook
Has
b5.
he?
No, but rook d4 is possible, no? Acha, then we have
No,
problems
there's
on our
always knight
king.
f3.
Yeah, and also we have problems on our king with rook b1 now.
Yep, yep,
Uh,
yep. What is Hikaru thinking? Because doesn't seem like he's happy.
bishop g3 now. Bishop g3 is possible. Rook
Yes,
b1,
bishop
king
g3 is
h2,
possible.
king h2, knight moves, and rook into d4. That's possible, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, but then you just
No,
no,
this
I mean
is
knight e5.
he has
Yeah,
gone for bishop. Oh no, he took AB and then he went bishop g3, which also makes sense. It's certainly a lot of pressure for Hikaru. He goes knight g6. Computer sees something that we puny humans don't, and but this is I think more pressure than 0.6.
I think this is wonderful for white. I mean, what on earth? Like even with rook versus rook, like without the bishop and knight, I would be super happy to play it as white. And he doesn't put the rook on b8 because he wants the rook to be more free. He guards it from the rank, not from the file. Uh, keeping
Yeah, now
chance
you
to
have to be careful, Samya. If you go b6, then black can take rook into. Oh no, there's rook h5 check. So in fact, you don't have to worry about this knight f4 ideas.
yes, and now actually our bishop works superbly with pass pawns. It will protect the pass pawn. Knight f3, and our king is super safe. I think exchanging one pair of rooks was a brilliant decision by Nihal in that position to safeguard his king from any kind of checkmate ideas and simply push his pawn.
Yeah, and Ayush Prida, she says Nihal will win. I echo that sentiment. We just need the pawn to go one more step. Knight e6, king d2. The king coming to c2 next. This knight not really threatening anything because knight into c7, b takes c7, keeps the passed pawn. There's no danger there. Now Hikaru under immense pressure. He's coming low on time. f4 with the idea of f5. So rook into b6. There's no rook into b6. The king is out from that. Fork. He just takes the knight out, Soumya. He's just taking more squares away. Hikaru shaking his head, can't take the pressure. The time's up, so this is the last game in this 5+1 segment. Now the king will advance. King c3, king c4, rook b5. I think Nihal is just a few moves away from closing this one out. Will he play rook b3, and take b7? Yes, he's gone for rook
Yes,
d3. Knight will come to e4, and I think rook b3 should. Oh, the king is still on time, but. Uh, I think Nihal would have had a more forcing win there. I don't like this direction. It felt like he had a more forcing win there. Oh, he's lost the G4 pawn also, and Nihal is not happy
oh,
there. That was such an implosion
oh my
from Nihal.
god.
He just
But now king d5, king e6, and f5 pawn will be lost.
Yeah, he has to
Yeah,
take a
and
draw.
oh, this was a huge advantage missed by Nihal in this game. What a wonderfully played game so far, only to lose it in the end and make a draw. Uh,
Yeah, and it
what
was
game?
he just had all these forcing wins, he had these forcing wins, but also look at how Hikaru kept defending. He just kept defending. He didn't allow Nihal to just run away with it. He kept making these moves, and that just allowed the pressure to get to Nihal at some point. But yeah, Nihal should have finished it off at some point. I think he just took the final final punch too far. And although Nihal has been exerting pressure in these 5 games, he's had the momentum. He managed to win only one, and he also lost one. So it was equal in those 5 games. And Hikaru, who took an early 2 point lead within the first 3 games, he still keeps the 2 points lead, which is a big advantage in this closely, evenly fought matchup.
Definitely. And now we'll take a short break, Shri. But once we are back, we get into even faster time controls, 3+1 segment starting. So, chat, do get something to eat, and we'll be back shortly.
Let's go. Let's go. The game has started and the 3+1 portion has started. Welcome back, chat. The 5+1 portion ending in a 5-3 advantage to Hikaru. The scoreline not quite conveying how the match has went. Nihal had that positive momentum in the last 5 games of the match, but he was just not able to finish Hikaru off. Hikaru just defending with all his life, He's just so resilient, just not letting Nihal take away that point from him. And so far, Hikaru has lost only one game despite playing 8 games. And they played only 8 games in a drawn out 5+1 portion, which went to almost 100 minutes, which shows how close the games have been. There has been no one sided game so far. It has been so close. The games have only been decided in the final moments. Every game has gone down to the wire. And so far, this has been one of the most high quality speed chess championship matches that I have ever witnessed. And in my opinion, I think Hikaru, Magnus, and Nihal are already the top 3 in this format, considering that Ali Reza didn't play in the SEC. In the current players list, I think they're the clear top 3 in this format.
Absolutely. And we have a poll up on the channel for you guys to let us know what you think about Srinath's thoughts here. 3+1 में क्या निहार dominate कर पाएंगे and come back कर पाएंगे? Rishikesh is saying काही खरं नाही आज. आणि on the other hand, some more Hikaru fans as well in the chat. Ajmal Khan जैसे पहले भी बोल चुके हैं, but I think I agree with you, Shri. Nihal has good chances and definitely one of the strongest players in speed chess. And again, we see him having a good position. White की king side pawn structure पूरी तरह खराब हो चुकी है with h3, f2 and f3 pawns. Bishop g2 पे होता या g3 पे होता. In fact, I think g3 would have been great. But since it's a light square bishop, it could have been on g2 at least. But now it's on d3, not doing much. Bishop f5, good idea there. Coming to g4, but not possible because of knight h4 check and the bishop hangs. So I still prefer black, but I would like to maintain the rooks.
Meanwhile, Soumya, Hikaru really accelerating in this game. The 3+1 portion has begun, and Hikaru signaling that he has spent less than a minute for the first 22 moves, whereas in the 5+1 portion, we quite often saw them getting down to 1 minute in these 20 moves. A big change of tempo, big change of pace there from Hikaru. He has traded all the pieces, which is a good thing for white because black has the isolated queen pawn and white has the bishop, which is superior to knight in these kind of structures, in these kind of positions. And Hikaru coming with a good momentum here.
Yes, I'm not very sure about exchanging all the major pieces, because now it invalidates the fact that the king was actually weak, because now there are no more pieces to attack him. On the other hand, our d5 pawn still very weak in isolated pawn positions. It's usually an ideal situation to get into endgames. On the other hand, it's always nice to have knights instead of bishops while defending isolated pawns. So not such a bad that bad a position for Nihal as well, because he has knights on the board. King coming to d6, knight can go to c4 at some point via c8 and b6. So
yeah, things are under control. Things are certainly under control, and it can so easily be reversed in favor of Nihal. Because there is only one weakness, the king has defended it. And on the other hand, it's not like white's position is filled with pearls and diamonds. The pawns are also, it's a very bad structure for white.
Yes, and f4 a good move, preventing knight coming to e5 and c4. Knight goes back to e7. Maybe he now goes to c8 and b6. पर knight d3, knight c5, knight e5 जैसे निहाल जैसे श्रीनाथ ने दिखाया है, अच्छी आइडिया है व्हाइट के लिए भी.
And look at the time advantage once again, Soumya.
Yes, 1 minute advantage in 3+1, but on the other hand, काफी strategic game खेल रहे हैं दोनों, अच्छी moves कर रहे हैं. We are seeing some good ideas by both sides. Knight coming to c6, now a5 will be played at some point. Knight will come to b6 and c4 as well. Oh, f6 e4, nice idea there, Shri. So um very much equal, but both sides trying for some breaks.
Yeah, and Hikaru is very good at these kind of positions, Soumya, where there's not much happening. He just keeps maneuvering around, and lets his opponent bleed on time while he makes all these moves within 2-3 seconds, And now knight f6, knight e4 check incoming. Hikaru protects it with bishop c2. Can we go knight e4 anyway and trade the knight? Nihal thinks he can, but at the cost of it, he's down to close to 10 seconds now.
It's a good pawn structure to have. Just look at this beautiful pawn chain. H7, G6, F5, and E4. Black's A6 pawn is the only one that can be attacked, but then we go knight C7 and defend it. हमें कोई फिक्र नहीं है उस pawn की. H7 pawn attack ही नहीं कर पा रहे white. Yeah, I think Nihal has chances to win this. Julie Praveen, she asked whether Nihal can win. He could win if he gets his knight to d3, for example, or c4. But the problem is white will not allow it. Knight on e5 looking quite good. A move like king b3 and king c3 here is possible just to maintain the position.
Yeah, just to maintain the position, but Hikaru has no way in. The only entry point is the d4 point, which is protected by the knight on e6, the border security force of black in this position. Meanwhile, a4 played by Hikaru, which could have allowed the black king to march in, but it's just too dangerous to calculate. So Nihal just keeping the pawn on b5, also a key player in not allowing the white king in. But this has created the a6 weakness in the long term. Now this pawn is dangerous on a5, and it also takes the b6 square away from the black king. So in the future, if white manages to take the a6 pawn, the a pawn is just an advanced passer.
So
Repetition now. Repetition.
Yes. Fair result, and actually a very nice game played by both of them. Instructive. Nobody would guess it's a blitz game if they did not know the time control. D4, knight f6 on the board. Nihal Sarin with the white pieces. 2.8.
Is it going to be a London again?
London would be nice to see. Of course, Nihal loves to play the London, and it has brought him a lot of good results. In his career.
So, I also think it's the second best opening in the world. No prizes for guessing which is the first there. And Nihal managed to create a lot of pressure in the last game of the 5+1 portion, Soumya. And here also, it feels like he's got some pressure on. And just to explain, this idea with bishop d3, cd3 is actually quite effective when the black has his knight already developed to f6. This creates a lot of pressure on this point. Now, a lot of moves in the game already. So let's quickly go past to the present position, rook c1. And you see there is still always some pressure on the queen side. The bishop on f4, protecting the b8 square. The black rook cannot get there. There is the rook on c1 attacking the c5 pawn, not exactly attacking, but keeping an eye on it. And then the queen comes to a4, the white queen. Queen a4, h6, these are the moves. This is the present position. Now rook c2, the other rook comes to c1. And there is going to be constant pressure on this c5 point. Hikaru ready to defend it with knight d7, keeping everything protected. Bishop d6, an extra attacker, but something is wrong with this. Rook c6, bishop into c5. I guess the intention is rook c8.
Bishop c5, rook c8. We can even move the bishop, but then queen b2. Oh. Is that a problem? Bishop a3, for example, can be played.
When bishop a3? After rook c8.
Yeah, bishop a3 and queen b2 is no more possible. And I think we are just a pawn up now. So bishop c5.
I guess the problem is simply this
take.
and then queen b2. But I don't see why it's a problem, because you can just play
D3 pawn
G3 here.
is no, D3 pawn is hanging, queen B1 and queen into D3,
Ah,
and black would be a pawn up. So
yes, well spotted, well spotted. Although this should still, I think, go towards an equal position, but yeah, Nihal clearly doesn't want to get into this position, which is just a pawn down. And this is a very, very important spot by Hikaru. Bishop d6 attacking the c5 pawn. Until this point, Nihal was having the positive momentum in the game. But after rook c6, after Hikaru spotted this little tactic
we
in
have the
just
position on the board, Srinath, with queen to B2. So Nihal has gone for that.
Yeah, Nihal has gone for that. And after G3, after black takes the pawn, I think it's still very much holdable, Soumya. Black doesn't really have much of an advantage because it will be difficult to hold on to the pawn. But again, to point out, Hikaru played rook c6 in just 4 seconds. So he just sensed this. He just sensed that he has this resource in just 4 seconds, and that changed the complexion of the game immediately.
So it's about intuition rather than calculation, and blitz. Blitz is all about having very good intuition, which Hikaru has lots of. Queen C6 on the board. अभी rook F8 अच्छी move हो सकती है. Keeping the F7 point protected. On the other hand, A6 vulnerable हो जाएगा, as you have shown,
Yeah, but
Sri.
the a6 is well protected by the queen on d3. And in fact, he goes rook b8, which also
B8.
creates queen e4 check, rook b1 check threats.
Oh, so the point is that queen D7, we still have queen E4 check, and king H3, we have even queen F5 or queen F3. Keeping the F7 square protected, and checkmating ideas of our own. For example,
Yes.
here G5, rook B4, rook H4 is a nice pattern to create.
So Nihal goes back with queen e4 here instead of going queen d7, protecting the e4 point and creating idea of rook into f7. But Hikaru playing queen f5 and defending the f7 point, with a minute advantage on the clock and a 2 minute advantage in the match. Nihal under some serious pressure here. He has to try and survive this one, but he's just a pawn down. The turning point of this game was that rook c6 move, a very, very effective reversal.
Yes, Pralay Aryan, they're saying Hikaru has such a good camera. That's true. I agree, Pralay. Hikaru having a great camera, great shirt, background, and moves. Everything going for him right now. But he also says that I support Nihal by heart, and my brain says Hikaru will win. I think it's still too early to make predictions about the outcome. I get it that we want to predict the outcome. Sport is funny. We want to predict the outcome, but we also want to watch the match.
Yeah, because
Rook
he
B3
don't
and
lose
rook A.
anything with wrong predictions.
There's nothing to lose with wrong predictions. That's true.
But if you're right, you can always say, I told you so.
You can boast about it.
Yeah, it's a very, very win-win.
It's one way to train our intuition. What say?
Yeah.
Oh,
But
A4
Soumya,
नहीं allow होता क्या इससे?
rook
A4
b4
क्या
does
हुआ
king
है?
f3.
Okay,
But
that was a good spot.
But the problem is, white has no counterplay. Black just
But
wins
king
this, I
F3
think.
pawn down, king pawn endgame would have been equal, I guess. But anyway, we will not have
Yeah,
time to
but
discuss
for
it.
black, this is just a simpler win, Soumya, because the king just comes in and there's no counterplay for Nihal.
The rook being very passive on A1, left to protecting the A pawn, nothing else, and the king coming to B3. And
So it's a very straightforward win for Hikaru.
So king comes to B3, rook takes A4 is the winning plan. Rook F4. Yeah, king has taken, and now he will push the pawn and win. So Hikaru taking a 3-point lead in the match. Sri, उनकी lead तो बढ़ती जा रही है. क्या स्ट्रैटेजी होनी चाहिए निहाल के लिए? निहाल काफी अपसेट लग रहे हैं कैमरा पे.
Uh, it's I think I mean I think that it's simply a bit of a strength difference there. Wow, why is Nihal not game is aborted? Have you
Because
already gone to the halfway
Nihal,
mark? Ah, because Nihal got a double white.
right. So d4, knight f6, c4, e6, and Tarash. Can we call this a Tarash defense with d5 and c5? Sort of. But
Yes, we
QG,
can, and I
actually,
think
it's a
that's what.
QG. है ना?
Not exactly, I think, because QG black takes D takes C4,
हाँ, पर
and
स्ट्रक्चर मतलब वो वाली आ गई ना QGA की, with the D and C pawns exchanged, and we have also entered an endgame now. King on D8, bishop to D3. Um,
yeah, but this is not a ideal pawn structure for black here. In these setups, black goes A6 B5. This
uh-huh.
B6 A5 is weird, but seems like it's working out for Nihal. He can play knight C6, take the D4 square, get G5 and knight C6 in, king E7, rook D8. And I think the danger for Nihal is to just try and keep the game going, Soumya, because if he gets into a tilt right now, then the game match would end right here.
Yeah, no, I think there's so much more to play for. In fact, I saw a comment while the game was heating up that bullet section में क्या मजा आने वाला है. And I do agree. I mean, दोनों bullet experts. The difference here being in speed chess, there is a 1 second increment in every format. So pre-moving helps, but not as much as it does when there is no increment at all. So the skills are slightly different. Nihal feeling very upset there. Srinath, I wanted to ask you, since you are so close to Nihal and might be aware of his routine during speed chess matches, does he take something to eat and energize himself? Because I never see him eating anything during the game. I never seen him having water. So what does he do to energize himself?
No, he doesn't like to eat in between the games. He likes to eat minimally. This is something both Arjun and Nihal have in common. They just prefer not to eat in between the games. And at this point, they kind of have like unlimited reserves of energy. So I don't think they even feel tired during the. They don't feel it even if they biologically feel tired. They're just not sensitive to those changes happening because it's not so evident to them at this point. And eating is just a distraction. Eating and digesting and the whole thing, it just takes energy away from the brain, so they prefer to give like 100% attention to chess, the games going on. Oh, he's blended, so this is
Oh,
this is the
bishop
danger.
c7, he missed. Oh no. Bishop b5, he had to move the knight, and I was wondering where will he go, but he plays rook d8, supporting the knight, and bishop c7 was missed. Exchange down, and very bad position for Nihal here. Oof.
Yeah, very bad position. He's not even able to get this f2 pawn back, Soumya, because white can just defend with knight d1, which is what he does. And
Yeah, Hikaru definitely, I think will be able to convert this, and we could see him taking a 4 point lead in the match. Nihal needs
the
to.
fundamental difference in this match has been that both the players have created equal chances, but Hikaru has been able to convert the chances
Oh,
better.
but is he going to lose the e4 pawn, Shri? Or he just gives it up? Because knight e4, we can always be met with f3. Let's imagine we play king c2 here, e5, and rook c4, bishop e6, rook
Rook
c3,
c3, knight into e4. Maybe
rook
maybe there's
c7
still
check,
game on.
rook c7
Uh,
check, and king d8, and rook c6. Maybe
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
problem.
yeah, 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 yeah. Knight e4, rook c7. And whichever way the king goes, you get this f3, and there's no knight e3 check also. So this is what happened in the game. Nihal played king d8, rook c6 on the board, and now both the e6 bishop and the b6 pawn is attacked. So Nihal doesn't have that. Uh, he doesn't have the momentum to create counterplay. Bishop f5, bishop d3,
F5
and
bishop.
everything under control.
And now f3 coming in irrespective, because knight d6 is rook into d6 with check at any point. Oh, and white
Yeah.
has won. Nihal has resigned. Nihal needs to change something. I mean, he's feeling super upset there. Um
Yeah,
a
but it's
glass of
really, really
Akshay Tattva
hard
milk
to.
could really help.
It would, but the nature of the speeches matches. It just doesn't allow you the time, Soumya. It doesn't allow you the time to just say milk. It's just so fast. The games are instant. The rematch happens instantly, which is what induces the tilt. Now Magnus came up with the most effective strategy against tilt. He found the bulletproof solution, which is to simply not lose a game at all. He achieved that against Fabiano Caruana, the former World Championship challenger, one of the best players in the present moment, with an awesome display. There's a lot of I saw a few comments in the chat where people were like, Hikaru is superior, and I'll wait for Magnus versus Nihal, says Sobi and Son. But I think he's just underestimating Magnus, and in my opinion, Magnus at his best, he's still better than Hikaru at his best, even in the SCC format. And
Wow.
I think Magnus is the favorite in any format of the traditional chess. I mean, not 960 and variants, but in the chess played in the way it is.
Wow. That's a bold prediction there, Shri. And yeah, there was an important question in the chat by Julie Praveen who says, "Are guys reply kar do? By the way, what's the winning point?" तो विनिंग पॉइंट ऐसा नहीं है, बट बेसिकली एससीसी ऐसे ऐसी एक टूर्नामेंट है जो एक मैच खेली जाएगी दो प्लेयर्स के बीच में, एंड देयर विल बी थ्री टाइम कंट्रोल्स. सो वन इज 5+1, द नेक्स्ट इज 3+1, एंड द थर्ड इज 1+1. सो देयर इज 60 minutes, sorry, 90 minutes of 5+1. Can we have the match format on the screen, please, so that we can explain it with the uh, yes. So
Yeah.
we'll have 5+1 90 minutes के होंगे, और फिर 3+1 will be 60 minutes, and 1+1 of 60 minutes. And the total points of in all the three time controls for each player will be counted. So ऐसी कोई winning point नहीं है. टाई भी हो सकती है मैच, जैसे अनीश और निहाल की मैच टाई हुई थी, एंड देन देयर वाज अ टाई ब्रेकर प्लेड which was a blitz match, sorry, bullet match of 4 games each. So
That
yeah,
was
very,
incredibly thrilling. That was just incredibly thrilling.
that was
Um,
the highlight of the STC for me so far. Because I did not watch Magnus versus Fabi live, perhaps that could be one reason. But I just totally enjoyed Nihal's match against Anish. I mean, I think they fought like gladiators there, and I'm really hoping that this match could top that.
Yeah, Samya, and it's a good thing that you didn't watch the Magnus Fabi match, because I could feel the pain after some point of not just not being able to win a single game, no matter how the position was. So, are
Yeah, that was
you?
actually Gukesh's issue with Magnus as well, and even Ding's issue with Nihal. So both.
And it's been Hikaru's USP in this match as well so far. Every time he's been under pressure, he's found a way to get out of it. He's found a way to defend and get out of it. And when he had the chance, which is probably lesser, he managed to convert them.
I'm surprised that Nihal didn't go for Queen G4 first and goes for Knight D6, but even this looks good. Uh, So I was trying to figure what could be the problem with queen g4 here, because we are threatening multiple things. But
C5,
yeah, c5
which should
and
transpose to the game, I guess.
all right, maybe that is the problem. Uh, because I thought that the king is weak, but then king knight d6, c5 and queen g4, h5 on the board. We cannot take queen and h5, guys. Be careful. Don't allow checkmate in one. The queen g3 played, taking advantage of the fact that the queen can't move from the g file. Black has played h5 and rook e6 on the board to be
Oh,
followed with
now the pendulum is swinging in Nihal's favor. The
f5.
bishop is out, and there's some
Hmm.
serious threats and initiative against the black's king. H4 taking the e5 pawn, insisting on the e5 pawn. Nihal can keep it with queen f4 though.
Oh, that was the point. That's the reason we had to take on p7 first and not play f5 directly, because it would have been met with h4, and then our queen would have had to be maintained on the g file, and we would have lost the e5 pawn. But here we take b7 first and then play f5. Good point there.
Yeah, good point illustrated by both the players. And once again, we are at this critical point where Hikaru is just a bit faster. Nihal taking a few seconds, 33 seconds for the move queen f4, thereby getting lower on time comparatively in the critical phase of the game. Hikaru going back rook e8, f6 in, but this knight defense from the light squares, e6 and g6, where the dark square bishop cannot reach a 25-second lead in time for Hikaru. The knight is coming to e6. Nihal not being able to find a way to land that knockout blow. Takes queen into h4 after another 16 seconds of thought. But Hikaru will take the e5 pawn back with queen d5, attacking both a2 and e5 simultaneously, maintaining that 30-second lead, and once again swinging the game in his favor in one of the critical situations.
Alpha in the chat asked me whether I'll pick blitz or bullet. So I just wanted to reply to Alpha, but he's no longer. Oh,
Look
this is
at
so
that.
pretty. This is so
Wow.
pretty. What happened there? Oh, this is
Beautiful
one of the
move.
most
E6.
beautiful
Played with
designs
4
ever seen
seconds
on the
remaining.
chessboard.
Hikaru didn't see that coming.
Absolutely gorgeous. Hikaru enjoying the design made by Nihal on the board. What an artist there. What an artist. More beautiful
Yeah.
than MFSN. Nihal's drawing on the board. And
What a design.
I'm just speechless looking at the position there. F7, rook b1, rook b8 coming in. And oh, what a way to get the win in. What a way. This has been one
Nihal OP in the chat.
beautiful games. I'm sure there's going to be an Agatmeta video tomorrow on this game. It deserves one with that pawn formation.
Yeah, absolutely. Nihal OP chat. I mean, regardless of how things turn out, this is one of the highlights of the SEC tournament so far. What a beautiful turnaround! And once again, Swami, you see how dangerous Nihal is when he's. It feels like he's down. It feels like he has less time. The position is getting worse, and then he just turns it around.
Absolutely. And I have seen one of Nihal's modern art designs in another game. Last year, he in Sitges, he played a game against a Georgian grandmaster, and he drew a game being queen down, queen versus three pawns on the board. And I thought that was a classic. And this game is right up there, this game with Hikaru, I mean, with the pawns on e6, f6. So,
Yeah, and it was just the boost that Nihal needed going before the halfway point in the 3+1 Soumya. He was down by 4 points, but now he's down by only 3 points and he has a minus 1.2 position. So this can really turn the momentum in Nihal's favor and keep the match alive.
yeah, Nihal seems to be getting great positions in the middle game. We've been finding that repeatedly in this match that Nihal is getting fantastic positions. It has been a matter of converting that chance, of spotting that one tactic, seeing one move further than Hikaru would do the trick. Easier said than done, but we expect Nihal to show us what a wonderful magician he is in this match. Queen b6. Queen b6, nice move there. Pinning the rook and at the same time getting our queen out of the d5 where white's rook was, and getting the rook c8 पे कुछ भी नहीं कर रहा था. अभी d8 पे it's doing far more function. We can even exchange on e4 at some point and take on d1.
Yeah, and this d3 is under some stress, and knight f4 would be a possibility, but it has to defend the e5 point for now. So Nihal goes a5 with the idea of a4, getting that bishop out from this diagonal, weakening the a2 point. With b4, he creates further inroads on black's queen side. Bishop a4 trying to hit out at some pressure. Rook e7 will be played, I'm assuming. Although such level of confidence does frighten me a bit.
Rook e7 खेलेंगे या rook f8 खेलेंगे हम?
I don't know. I think the rook has to, rook has to stay within this point.
You want
and
to keep
if
the
it is
e5 point defended.
Yeah. Also, it allows the rook to swing to c7 and create more pressure on these stress points, the c3 point. Also,
we are reading the YouTube comments. Mandy C is saying, yeah, I don't think they're reading. नहीं हम पढ़ रहे हैं. Niels का एक बहुत funny comment था, which I would like to read out, Shri. Whenever we are in a time crunch to meet the deadline, our Malayali manager says, let us all pray to our Lord and Savior Nihal Sarin and bullet our way through. काफी funny. Or Hemang Uria is asking, will there be a diamond membership question? Otherwise, I'm leaving. Arey, Hemang. But we did ask a diamond membership question. आप कहाँ थे? And we will be asking it at some point. Let's get the likes to 300 and maybe we can ask our next question.
Yes, chat, to get those likes going. So Nihal gets all the support he can for this match. He has created pressure on the c3 point. Soumya, there's pressure on the d3 point. White has pressure on the e5 point. So Nihal eliminates it with d takes e4. Only the c3 point remains. And he can even, knight f4 with the idea of knight d3 after e5 is no longer attacked. So knight f4 with the idea of knight d3. There is pressure here. And also the e4 point can be hit with knight into e4 if the queen moves away from e1. Because the f5 knight would be hanging. Rook c2, an ugly move which keeps everything together. Hikaru will defend as if his life depends on it each game. And so far, he's done an amazing job, such that in the 2.5 hours, he's lost only 2 games against a player of Nihal Sarin's caliber.
Rook c2, a move nobody wants to make, but a move that must be made if you want to defend the b2 point. G6. Knight at 6 will be met with king g7, and suddenly the knight has to go to g4, only move, and after taking on g4, the h file will also be open, and the king will come under huge attack after rook c8, bishop takes, take, and rook c8 and rook h8. So, that would be game over actually. तो इसीलिए
Hikaru goes back.
e3 गए हैं हिकारू. ये बहुत ही खराब लग रही है व्हाइट के लिए, बट निहाल नीड्स टू फाइंड द फिनिशिंग ब्लो. ही कैन नॉट लेट व्हाइट एस्केप दिस.
Oh, yes, absolutely. He cannot let white escape these kind of positions, Soumya. If he does, then it's going to be difficult to have his chances in the match. It comes down to these moments, and it's one of the most difficult things to do. When you have an advantage, your opponent is fully concentrated at their peak, and to beat your opponent, you have to beat them when they're at their best. And that is why it's one of the hardest things to do. That is why it suddenly gets harder when you have a winning position. Your heartbeat rises and they start giving their full attention, their full everything. Once again, we see this point where Nihal just starts to play slower. Yeah, he starts to play slower, and he managed to pull it off in two of the games. But I don't think it's going to be possible every single game to
E5
pull things
pawn.
off with 4 seconds.
Yes, Shri, and actually the E5 pawn, but H5 pawn, with H5, the knight on G4 has been trapped, but the C5 pawn is actually very dangerous. So black also needs to be careful. 96, good move taking.
It's gone now. It's gone. It's gone.
Yeah.
And look at this beautiful pawn structure. And look at these. This is the difference. Yes. I didn't want to hurt their feelings, but okay.
They can't hear us, so it's okay. King G2, F5, King F3, King F6. Actually, yeah.
This is a good defensive setup by Hikaru.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand why.
How to bring the rook into the game, yeah?
Yes, and what could be black's plan here? Because our rook is stuck.
King has to go here, right?
Controlling the A4 pawn. King C5 with the idea to go King B4, Srinath is saying. But once we do that,
yeah, rook F1,
F1
and
F4. Why not F4? King E4, King A4, I thought was the way, but this is looks like white has controlled the E4 pawn from advancing and has his own pawn to advance right now. Rook A4, nice move. Can we give up the rook at some point and advance the H pawn and say it's a draw? Maybe that's the technique.
This is Hikaru's defensive plan, and he's managed to defend it once again. What can I say?
Rook A3 with the idea rook E3. Tricky, Nihal. Tempting white.
Now Hikaru just calculating rook into E2.
So that was a good defensive technique. Had the king been nearer, then black had some chance to contain the H pawn, but with the king so far away on the first rank, this is a draw.
Hikaru has really been pushed in this match, Soumya. He's really been pushed, and Nihal is like creating amazing chances, but he's just not able to just land that finishing blow because Hikaru just keeps defending. He plays these fast moves, he keeps defending, he refuses to lose.
Yes, and I see Hikaru got up, so I'm just confirming with our producer if there is a break right now, or does the match keep going? Because I see Nihal is still on his check.
Yes, it is. It is the halftime break. It's a 3+1 halftime break.
So let's come back, chat shortly, or do we stick around stream? Yeah, because I had a question. Because I had a question for Srinath, and I was thinking when to insert that question because the match was really in such a great fight, and there was just no time to ask it. So now let's go to an important topic. Srinath, congratulations, your student and India number 3 or 2. Arjun,
he's gone to India number 4 now, actually.
All right, but he could be India number 1 someday. So Arjun Erigasi has won himself a huge sponsorship deal a couple of days ago. Could you please tell us about it? I think it's the biggest sponsorship deal so far that an Indian chess player has cracked.
So Arjun has signed a 5-year sponsorship deal with this company called Quantbox. And Quantbox is basically a trading company. They use a lot of tech and mathematics to trade in the global financial markets.
Sorry, we can't hear you. Okay, so Srinath is coming back, but meanwhile, yeah, just for the chat who don't know about this news that Arjun has in fact got a huge sponsorship deal, and there we have the SCC bracket as well. So let's just have a quick look at what happened so far. Nihal's journey. Nihal has won against Anish in the first match of the SCC. 15-14 was the score because they tied at 14 and then they played a tie break. Then Nihal played against Dinglish and he beat him with a huge score of 17-9. Definitely things internet did not support him there, but on the other hand, Nihal showing huge sportsman spirit by giving back 1 point when Ding actually lost due to internet issues in one of the games. And now we see Nihal playing Hikaru. Hikaru's journey so far has been beating David Paravian in round one with 19.5 to 7.5, then beating Aronian, Levon Aronian, who just switched to USA. So his US teammate at some point, with a score of 15.5 to 8.5. So Hikaru really dominating his SEC performances so far. And on the other side, we have Magnus Carlsen dominating his bracket. He won against Gukesh with a score of 23 versus 7. And when we thought that, oh, maybe Gukesh not so good at online chess, needs to improve his blitz skills, he then comes and beats Fabiano Caruana 22-8 and just shows us how strong he is. It's not about his opponents, but about Magnus. Magnus being such a goat at all formats. And he's playing against.
Yeah, I'm back, by the way.
Oh, welcome back, Shri. So let's pick up the topic where we left it. You were telling us about Arjun's deal with the trading company.
Yeah, so until what point were you able to hear me?
We could hear you when you explained what the trading company does, what his sponsor does, and
Yeah. Yeah, but I'd be really surprised if it's the biggest deal in Indian chess, Soumya, because a lot of sponsorship deals are undisclosed, and I'd be very surprised if this surpasses the deal of, let's say, something the five-time world champion, the legend Vishy had when he was a world champion. Uh, I'd be surprised, but it is one of the biggest. It is one of the biggest, and it's something massive. I'm really happy for Arjun that this came at this time, where he just performed phenomenally well in 2022, and this will give him the thrust required to take care of his expenses towards his journey to the top. And I'm also excited that there are just so many of these sponsorships coming into chess, which can act as a precedent. It shows that you can invest in chess, you can get returns, and I hope this brings in more sponsors into the game as well. More players benefit from it, with time.
certainly. And one question on my mind definitely was that you actually even disclose the amount. So Arjun will be getting 12.5 crores over a period of 5 years. And what is the vision that you, Arjun, and the sponsor, all of you together, are planning to achieve at the end of these 5 years?
That's a really good question, and in one of the initial conversations that Arjun had, he was asked a specific question on what he intended to do with chess, and his answer was pretty clear, crisp, and straightforward. He said he wanted to become a world champion. So the sponsor knows exactly what they are investing into and what return they might get. Arjun could become a world champion one day, and there's a pretty decent probability. Cornbox, they use a lot of tech and mathematics, so they know their stuff. They know what they're getting into. I'm sure they calculated the probability, and having this clear vision and having an idea of how he intends to achieve that, I think this is one of the things which makes it very attractive to support a person like that.
Oh, that's wonderful. And we do have the match starting very soon, but I have just one last question to ask before we can look at the match. what do you as a coach set Arjun and also the sponsor? Do you guys work around time frames, like maybe set him 3 months, 6 month targets, or is it a full aim of 5 years and that's about it?
There is a definite time frame. The immediate goal is to get into the candidates. That's happening in 2 years,
All
and
right.
that brings in smaller goals. You know, the World Cup, the Grand Swiss, and the Grand Prix, the tournaments in the cycle. But of course, it's not like super. It's not like super into it. But this gives us the directions on what is required, what we need to work towards. It's not like he has to do it or things will fall apart, but we know what we are aiming towards, and this is what the goals help to.
It gives him a path to work towards his destination.
Yes, and it also allows him to understand what direction he needs to work on, which choices he has to make, which tournaments he has to choose.
Oh, wonderful. I'm super happy for you, Arjun, and our juniors. They're getting so many wonderful opportunities. And thank you to Arjun's sponsors for coming forward and supporting him in such a big way. There we have Nihal's match already started. Nihal playing a white against Hikaru. Knight on a6, not feeling good. So c6 there, hoping to bring the knight.
Can you guess the opening, Soumya?
Yeah, it is Srinath's favorite opening. Indeed, the Catalan.
Yes, it did start as a kind of Catalan, not from the exact move order, but it transposed into it. And out of the opening, Nihal has a clear advantage, +1, close to +1. I rest my case.
So bishop f4 there, exchanging the bishop, and knight f4 के बाद हमारी he doesn't allow it. He goes bishop a6, Shri. So he wants to keep pieces on the board. He wants to bring his bishop to c4 because his bishop was not feeling very good on b7, being pawns. So I
Yeah,
guess that's the point.
he respect the feeling of his pieces.
And also, do you think a move like knight f4 might run into g5? I know that it's committal, but on the other hand, we are keeping an eye on e2.
It
So,
certainly makes sense, Soumya. Seizing space. Oh, beautiful, beautiful exchange sacrifice there by Nihal. Beautiful exchange sacrifice, and now b5 is a very strong move, undermining the knight on d5. And Hikaru is like, "What am I doing? Why did I miss b5?"
yeah, he hates it. I mean, Nihal Sarin showing a lot of intention there with his exchange sack, and now he's got two pawns for it with a wonderful pawn on c6, protected by the beautiful bishop on g2, which was brought there on the fourth move. Uh, so I mean, I think Nihal enjoying his position right now.
Absolutely, Nihal thoroughly enjoying it. Knight a6 could run into b5, so you still need to be careful not to. Knight a6. My intention was to trade this knight, which is preventing the c7 pawn from queening, but it runs into a tactic. So still need to be careful there, but that's why Nihal is playing there, not me. And he comes back with the knight to d3, creates a weakness on b6. He might distract this rook from d8, so he can advance the e pawn. The rook was keeping an eye on the d pawn, not letting it advance, so he plays d5 now after forcing the rook to move away. Next, e4 will come, f4 will come, e5 will come, and Nihal will win this game.
Oh, very simple and easy plan there, pointed out by Srinath. So thank you. And e4, f4, e5. ब्लैक के पास कुछ है नहीं करने को एक्चुअली. ब्लैक शायद g5 खेल सकते हैं, पर फिर भी हम f4 ही खेलेंगे. It's an unstoppable plan.
Yeah, it's unstoppable. Black's pieces are paralyzed, but okay, Hikaru will find some way to keep the game going. He will find some annoying way to create counter chances, and even in this position, I wouldn't be that certain of winning against him if I was playing the white. But since Nihal is out there, that's where my confidence comes from.
Oh, g4, they're allowing e5 and queen g4 ideas. Also, knight f4 as played by Nihal. Mm, and now even
G5,
knight.
G4 just keeps the game going. Yeah, it just keeps the game, prevents white from playing F4, E5 because of on person. Although it
Can
weakens
he
the
play
G4 pawn,
f5 now? But can he play f5 now, Sri?
F5, Queen B2 check.
Oh, queen b2 check. So that's why he plays queen e5 to play f5 on the next move, but it gives away the g4 pawn. सारे ही pawn मर रहे black के. Hikaru hates it.
But he creates a passer. He creates a passer, and he has a queen on E5. So Nihal, with 30 seconds, he has to make sure that he finishes it off accurately, which Nihal can do, and I think he will do because the advantage is quite overwhelming. But Hikaru, he still keeps his chances on. He creates this pressure by playing fast. He just keeps the game going. He just keeps creating these problems, forces his opponent to think. And Queen F4 is a
Oh,
move which throws a lot of things away.
queen f4 miss by Nihal. In fact, this was my question, Srinath, whether we should exchange queens here or not, and apparently not because knight c3. Wow,
Yeah,
knight
knight E2
c3
check.
and
This is
knight
the point,
e2.
Soumya. This is the point.
Huge,
This was missed by Nihal.
huge tactic there by Hikaru, so alert, and Nihal, of course, missed it. Nihal, on the other hand, has two pieces for the queen and beautiful pawns, so they are enough compensation. But the problem is the a pawn; it's going to queen.
Yeah, the A pawn is going to queen, and Nihal is going to push his D pawn to counter that, D6, D7. But the A pawn is just a bit faster. And you see the 30-second advantage that Hikaru has on the clock that just allows him to take the time in the critical position and calculate his way out.
Oh, I see a beautiful
Whereas,
tactic here, Shri. Pardon me, but king into e6 will run into c8, queen, queen into c8, and we give a check on h3 with our bishop and emerge a piece up. So still not over, still game on.
yeah, still not over. And Nihal has only a bishop for the queen. But because of bishop D5, this move,
Gorgeous.
he's not losing. And also bishop b7, queen b1 check is coming. Queen b1 is
Oh
check. Oh,
no,
Nihal has
bishop
lost on time.
e7.
Bishop
Huge
b7 was
miss.
a cruel blunder because of queen b1 check and queen b7
Yes.
check. Oh man, and
Bishop
Nihal loses on
d5.
time.
Bishop d5, I'm sure, Srinath Nihal spotted it, but he just thought that bishop b7 was more effective keeping the bishop.
Yeah, and scoreboard pressure somewhere. Nihal kind of had to win that game. He was under a 3 point deficit, which has become a 4 point deficit. And
Absolutely. A beautiful, beautiful game there by Nihal, only to give it away with a big blunder in the end. But kudos for the effort. And really, we are seeing some really beautiful ideas in this match so far. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. But Nihal needs to also get those points in. It's not always about learning, it's also about sometimes winning. So let's just get those points in, Nihal. Bishop e7, knight e7, Nihal with the black pieces in this game. Uh, Very much equal this position is. बहुत ही सिमेट्रिकल मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि ये पोजीशन शायद बहुत जल्दी इक्वलाइज हो जाएंगी एंड बिकॉज द प्लेयर्स आर स्टिल रिकवरिंग फ्रॉम देयर प्रीवियस गेम आई सी हिकारू मेकिंग ऑल दीस एक्सप्रेशंस एंड आई डोंट थिंक दे आर फॉर दिस पोजीशन आई थिंक दे आर फॉर द प्रीवियस पोजीशन still recovering and b4 on the board again Niha Hikaru's knights not ideally placed on e2 and f3 but doing their job of defending the d4 pawn. Um, so meanwhile, chat, we do have some um, we will shortly ask you a diamond membership question. Meanwhile, queen b3 on the board, queen f6 there. D4 pawn पे pressure रखा जा रहा है. Knight will come to c6 now and pressurize d4 once more. Knight f2 ideas in the air with e2 knight being under the rooks. I
hi.
c5 rook e2. Shri, Shri. And we see that Nihal once again has a good position while you were away.
Yeah, maybe that's the magic we need.
That's the magic
Maybe
we
that is
need.
what I'm trying to do.
That's what you're trying to do. Yes, yes, that's a good narrative. Let's work on that. And Rook e7, I'm again super happy with Nihal's position here, Shri. As you've pointed out, Bishop h3 coming in case the queen moves from b3. Queen needs to keep the f3 knight defended. What do you think? Is Nihal going to get the win in because he really needs it?
I was so confident of the previous game, Soumya, but I feel like I jinxed it, so I'm not going to. I'm scared to say that.
Let's not make any predictions, but just focus on the position on the board. But uh, by pure evaluation, we do like Nihal's. We do like Nihal's position very, very much here. Nihal being extremely fidgety there, by the way. Uh, he is restless. He is restless to get that win.
Yeah, he's restless. He's like, enough of this. It's time to it's time to do it. And Chris Kins makes a very good point in the chat that has to keep his time advantage going. That's the only way Hikaru might make mistakes. But that's the paradox because when you play fast, your quality drops. When you play slow, your quality improves, but you get into time pressure. And it's not an easy fix. Like you can't just accelerate seamlessly like that without uh, without having some loss in quality. And knight c3 played by Hikaru, yeah, attacking the d5 and e4 pawns. So Nihal had to take the c3 knight, but this game he has kept a good time advantage, which is encouraging. There have been times when Nihal has played faster in this match, but in those times, oh wait, is knight into b1 an option now?
Knight b1. Wow, nice spot there actually. But won't our knight be forever trapped on b1, or do we have? We can play queen d6 in the future and take knight a3 also. Knight b1, nice tactic there. It does
Yeah, also
allow.
also knight into d4 is a threat, and that. But
Yeah, both the moves look
having
good.
these options, having these options also makes Nihal spend a lot of time,
Oh,
32
he's
seconds.
taken on e7. He's not gone for either of those two options that you suggested, Shri. Bishop f5 here, it would be a huge mistake because of knight e2, fork coming in and taking the c1 rook. So rook c3 has been played. Can we
Do you
do
want
we
to take
have
knight
some?
d4?
We can also play. Oh, knight d4, knight takes, queen gives a check on e1, and we take the bishop on b1.
Yeah, either we can take the bishop now, or we can also again interpose a queen e5 check and then take the bishop. And I think finally we would be a pawn up. Like for instance, the king moves bishop into b1, and if the knight goes to f3, we have queen f6, keeping an eye on the c3 rook. So this is what happened. But Nihal took bishop into b1. He didn't play queen e5 check.
Yeah, these are fantastic tactics. Definitely. Um, we will ask a diamond
Yeah,
membership question after this game is over because this is already 17 seconds for white and 33 for black, and a great position for Nihal over here. Rook e3, um, queen d2, queen f2, both
yeah.
options.
Just
Queen
take queen
f2 is great.
f2.
Queen f2 is great.
Hikaru, Hikaru,
Hikaru has
Hikaru shaking
blundered.
his head there.
He blundered. He blundered. And black won. He resigns. Wow. So Nihal gets that win going for him, Shri. He has come back in the match. It's 4-3 in the 3+1 section right now. 3 points are
Oh my god. Oh, it was on the second move. Okay.
still under control. On that note, oh, this is a
Yeah.
wonderful diamond membership question that we have suggested by a producer. What did Nihal do for his home state Kerala on the day that he became a GM? This is a wonderful, wonderful question. And if you guys, maybe you can take Yes. Which year did Nihal become a GM, Srinath? I think 2019.
17, I think.
19, right?
Oh, it was 2019. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
2017 is the year I
2019
became a GM.
February, if I'm not wrong.
February is indeed the month when all good things happen, but it was 2018.
Oh, it was 2018 February. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So that's a clue that you have there. Chat. Let us know if you know the answer or if you can guess it. What did Nihal do for his home state Kerala on the day he became a GM? You have a chance to win a diamond membership. And if you don't know the answer, still do stick with us to watch this match and hear what Nihal did do that day, because it was a brilliant effort. Knight g5 on the board with the idea to play queen h5 and give checkmate.
Yeah, Nihal is really upping the pressure in the last few games, Soumya. I'm really heartened with the spirited with which he has played this match so far. And Nihal is just what's happening here? What's
Knight f7,
happening? What is coming?
can
Knight
he play knight
f7, king
f7?
f7.
Queen h5
Hikaru
is
then knight into
bishop
e6. Knight d into e6 played by Nihal. What a move! F into e6, knight into e6, rook into
Oh, this
e6,
is great.
and
And rook d5,
rook
rook
into
d5.
d5. Look at
Oh,
Hikaru there shaking his head.
wow. Beautiful tactics there. All like so many of these games deserve a separate video, Srinath. Like we are seeing some beautiful chess from Nihal today.
Absolutely fantastic tactics, and where to find them? Chess.com Speed Chess Championship.
Yeah, what a nice way to put it. Rook c6 coming in, queen c4, queen g4 coming in. Choices है white के पास. किस तरह जीतना चाहते हैं आप? Queen g4, knight c5, and b4 is a move.
Yeah,
B4
b4
is
is
a
a move.
move.
You can you also maybe rook c5 is just not necessary. Yeah, you can do it without giving up anything.
Yeah, let's be greedy and take material right now. We have already given up two, like a knight. Actually, we have given up a whole rook. So Nihal just takes it up. He just picks up the rook that was sacrificed, and now he's two pawns up. तो बचा क्या? दो pawns बच गए white के. And actually, black's king is still unsafe, so black will still have problems to solve.
Yeah, bishop 8 was just simple, no, Soumya? Queen into 8, there is rook into c5. So Nihal is just 2 pawns up at the end of everything.
Rook
So
c5,
queen
rook
8,
e4,
rook c5, rook e4,
and queen
and
c8.
queen
Queen
c8.
c8. That's the point.
How quickly and how much they calculate? You know, the Speed Chess Championship. It's like how J.K. Rowling narrated the
h5
Quidditch
on the board.
final.
H5 on the board and queen h3, I guess, or queen f5 even. Both the moves
Yeah,
seem
queen
fine.
f5, queen h3, queen c4.
No,
Do
queen
whatever,
c4
but
will
keep
run
the
into queen a8, Srinath, because now we don't have
yes, yes,
h5.
yes. But then there is
Then you
b4.
have b4, right, right, right.
Yeah. But yeah, queen h3 and queen f5 is just smoother. But again, Hikaru keeping on fighting, yeah, he's just not throwing in the towel. And what this does is it also takes away crucial time from the match clock. Something Hikaru is an expert at. Rook c7 now, bishop d5. And Nihal will want to win this one as quickly as he can. We have 3 minutes remaining. Nihal has so much positive momentum right now that if he can get one more match in before going into the bullet portion, it's going to be in Nihal's favor. Nihal going for the most concrete, most direct approach. Bishop into e6, bishop f7 will be winning for white. So
Oh, he has
Hikaru
won.
resigns.
Wow, 2 wins in a row for Nihal. What a comeback. Nihal on a comeback right now. And I'm sure Hikaru will have to get things in order not to lose this. Another match. Hikaru actually could be on a tilt. Does that ever happen to Hikaru?
Oh, it totally happens. He's also a human, and more importantly, he's not used to losing like the other mortals like us, you know. So he wouldn't he's not in this position.
Definitely, and he's so frustrated there. He's making a lot of gestures, talking to himself, thinking about how he can miss certain moves that he did in the match. Um Fantastic play
Why is
by
there a
Nihal.
break though? Why
Fantastic.
is there a break?
Maybe there is a
Uh,
connection issue that needs to be fixed.
I guess seems so.
So meanwhile, let's
Seems
just
like, yeah.
pick out some winners for the diamond membership question, because a lot of them actually know about this. That's wonderful. Uh, Hemang Huria says that he raised 17 lakh uh, and 74,000 rupees for the Kerala floods on the day he became a GM. That's right. He actually played a simul uh, and online, and he raised money for the flood relief in Kerala that year. Wonderful gesture by Nihal. Um, so, okay, let's pick out a winner for the
Yes, and meanwhile, the game has resumed,
diamond
and
membership. So, Hemang, I think I read your answer first. So, you do get the diamond membership. So, congratulations. But a lot of them actually did get it right, Shri. So, kudos to our chat. Please do write to Rakesh and claim your diamond membership.
congratulations, Hemang. And the game has resumed, Soumya, and Hikaru going for this line, which is basically like a draw with the white pieces. White has no way to lose this, one of the most solid lines. Nihal also knows his stuff. We, in fact, had a game with the very same opening in the World Rapid 29 World Blitz 2019, in which we made a draw. So Hikaru just following this. I mean, sorry, not following this, but he's just taking a timeout, trying to make a draw to break the tilt.
Yeah, very good strategy there by Hikaru to just calm down and get uh, get a half point in, make a speed breaker, put a speed breaker in the tilt
The
in
Nihal
case it
Express.
happens. Uh, in the Nihal Express. Rook C1 on the board. But I, in fact, like this position also for Nihal. But हाँ, Bishop F6 के बाद बहुत ही equalize हो गई.
Yeah, I think they should just. There's just 20 seconds remaining, and this can present some dangers for Nihal. He has to, like, C7 and E7 are attacked. White has a slightly better pawn structure. He has to ensure that. I really hope he manages to hold this game because going into the bullet, having a 2 point deficit is so much better than a 3 point deficit.
Yeah, basically, I think what Srinath wants to say is that black's rooks are very passive while whites are active. That is the difference. बाकी तो pawn structure तो दोनों के ही खराब है. मतलब D3 A2 weaknesses है. अभी rook B4 के बाद हमने H4 attack किया है, but white is attacking. Both of his pieces are attacking our pawns, while only our D8 rook is attacking white's pawns. Our rook on E7 is actually only defending at the moment. अगर उसको हम activate कर सकते हैं तो अच्छा हो जाएगा.
Yeah, and I think this really goes into a draw because pair of pawns has been traded. The other Hikaru will have this extra A pawn, and he can claim that this extra pawn is better than Black's extra pawn. But it is very easy to neutralize this extra pawn if it goes into an endgame where the one pair of rooks are traded. So I think this should end in a this should end in a draw now.
Yes, Chris Keynes is saying that 9-7 against Hikaru is a great performance already. Nihal has great chance to take match into extra 4 bullet games now. I think he means the tie break. So what he's suggesting is for us to see another tie break. वो तो मतलब full on हमको एक पूरा show मिल जाएगा. I am rooting for that result now. The tie break, that would be too epic. Um,
Yes, and the building blocks, first we need to draw this game, and then we need to have a positive start, positive momentum in the bullet.
yes. So rook b4, rook c2, um, and king f2 will come so that black के e rook का scope कम हो जाएगा. It will not have too many entry points. Rook b1, trying to make sure our rook doesn't get limited. We can at some point even bring our e7 rook to e1 now and bring it into the game. c7 still a huge weakness for black, but we are closer to the draw.
Indeed. Once again, the game going in overtime, Soumya. It has happened for the second time in this match. It happened in the 5+1 portion with the last game going quite a lot. And this is the ninth game in the 3+1 portion because of a couple of quick games. Nihal lost a game quickly with that Bishop C7 blender, and Hikaru lost a game quickly with this knight D into E6 brilliancy. So far, both the brilliancies of Nihal has come on the E6 square, yeah, one with the pawn and one with the knight.
Yes. So d4 there by Nihal, by Hikaru. King g6, king f5 पे बिठाना चाहेंगे हम, but then the rook will always drive us back from the fifth rank by giving us a check. So that's the maximum we can improve our king to. Another idea is king g5 and f5 and h4, but that's too much हो जाएगा क्या वो? Because then the f5 pawn will also become a target.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Hikaru seems to be trying a bit too hard here. No, I'm kind of hoping that he overpresses. Okay,
Can
but rook
white
c5,
overpress?
he can, like for example, rook a7 here, rook d5, and white takes this pawn. Black starts giving checks and attacking the king. It can go. In fact, Nihal is going for that. With the he's trying to turn the tables on Hikaru, and look at the evolution bar agreeing with us.
Yes, rook e2 coming in and Hikaru low on time. 20 seconds for Hikaru. King very weak. King f4 अच्छी move थी actually क्योंकि
Rook
king
e2
h2
now.
में rook e2, rook f7 is the point, I guess.
Yeah. I was trying to prevent the king from coming to e3, but then it goes to g3, so the king
Right.
escapes one way or another.
So,
Yeah. Nihal also now down to less than 20 seconds. It
no,
goes
I
for
saw
rook e2 anyway.
Fabi getting checkmated on the center of the board, with two rooks against Magnus. So, what you are hoping for could happen, Shri. It's just that black का king भी safe नहीं है.
Exactly. Rook g7, rook a5 check, king e6, rook a6 check, but still it was nice though the way Nihal turned things around, and I think towards the end Nihal completely started matching Hikaru.
Yes, I think Nihal is getting. I mean, he's already gotten into form, and Hikaru is on the back foot, and he needs to, he needs that break more than Nihal right now. Let's just put it that way. So, abhi 3+1 section khatam ho chuka hai, and in fact, they had an equal score in the 3+1 section, but Hikaru had taken the lead in the 5+1 section of 2 points. So that's why the right now he still goes into the bullet section with 2 points lead.
Yeah, a 2-point lead. What are your forecast for the bullet portion, Soumya?
I am forecasting a huge amount of thrill for us viewers.
Wow, what a beautiful prediction. That was
realistic prediction.
absolutely my thoughts. If Nihal can get the first win in the bullet with the white pieces, then I think the first game will really set the tone of the bullet portion. But that said, chat, it's been an amazing performance by Nihal, even keeping the match going into the bullet portion, especially after the defeat, which led to a 4-point lead for Hikaru. And with that, we'll also go in for a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in just 2 minutes.
the 1+1 section.
Yes, chat. And the game has just begun. Nihal playing knight f3 and b3 on the second move, which is something I don't disapprove of. So he manages to do what he wants and also not make me unhappy. Good stuff, Nihal.
Good stuff there. Keeping coach as well as himself happy. Nice way to do it. Queen d4, rook d1, knight c3, normal position.
And
Both the pieces, both the sides have actually fianchetted their bishops. Street.
yes, it's a double fianchetto. One of the bishops getting traded now. Chat, come on, let's go. Do get those likes going and let us know your thoughts. How likely do you think is Nihal's chances to catch up on the deficit and overtake Hikaru in this segment? Nihal known as the Bullet King, but Hikaru had the title even before Nihal was born. And I think even before Nihal was born in 2004, Hikaru must have had like 10,000 bullet games. So, what do you think? Will his younger age give an advantage to Nihal, or will Hikaru's 10,000s of extra games give him the edge? Do let us know in the chat. Meanwhile, a very quick start, and look at those ratings. Hikaru had 30-60 and Nihal had 30-30.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing, Shri. And I'm busy admiring the position right now. Does Nihal want to play knight d5? Yes, that's what is happening. We take with the bishop and f6, but knight b4 intermezzo by Hikaru, rook to b2, and does black still play f6 here?
Yeah, black can, but you have to watch out for bishop f6, rook d6, which is what Hikaru probably doesn't like. And having a 20-second deficit in a bullet like this, it's not good sign. Takes was white had this a3, so Hikaru defends with rook b8, but he's certainly tense. He's under some pressure, and if bishop h8 looks nice to me, f6 and bishop and f6.
Absolutely. I'm even looking at rook d6 ideas, but then it runs into pawn takes, bishop h8, and f5. The problem is that the queen on b7 defends the second rank. So that's something we should not miss. f6 has been played, take, and rook to d6, queen g7. Rook can come to d7 now. Queen comes to d2. B4
A3 is a threat, Soumya, a subtle threat. You think there's fire here, but you can just lose a knight. While look at Hikaru. Look at the pressure he's under.
Hikaru there cannot believe that the knight on b4 is trapped. He can't believe it, Shri.
Yes, rook a6, rook d7 check. Nihal is totally winning this. Come on, Nihal, go.
I think
rook
he also
b2
can't
also
believe
works.
the level of play that Nihal is showing in a 1+1 game. Fantastic game here by Nihal so far. King on h6 almost mated. Rook comes to e6. Rook comes to b6, putting pressure on the f6 point. Takes on g5. King takes, king g2. f4 ideas could happen, but this looks quite equal now. It seems like Hikaru has managed to control it.
Yeah, Hikaru has managed to survive the worst, Soumya, and I feel that Nihal's instinct to keep things protected rather than going for the kill. Once again, losing that half point. I was not quite sure about this rook b2 move in that position because it can give the counter chance. He had a chance to just finish it off, but he tends to hesitate a bit during these situations. Oh no!
Oh my God!
No!
He
Look
blundered
what
the
happened!
move. King f. Oh, Hikaru always so tricky. Nihal kept repeating king g3 and king f4 on impulse, and Hikaru took his chance there and went for this cute small trick.
Yeah, the
Anyway,
match clock exerting the pressure, the match clock, and Nihal was probably a bit pissed at losing more time. So he just tries to play as fast as he can and he blunders. A
but
known trick of Hikaru, but knowing doesn't always help.
but it also shows Srinath about how we are not we actually cannot predict any outcome in a 1+1 blitz bullet game because the time is so fast that there is always a chance of making a blunder even on the last second.
Absolutely, absolutely. We cannot. But as I mentioned earlier, Soumya, the first game in the bullet, it's really important. It sets the precedent. And now H5, knight H4, white has a nice position. Hikaru could just use this to get into a 4 point lead, which is going to be insanely hard to come back against. And once again, those kind of winning positions in the context of such an even match, it had to be taken. It's just very expensive. The cost is very high.
Yes, definitely. Usually we keep praising Nihal for making moves which keep all his pieces protected, but against Hikaru, this strategy is not working that well. Hikaru, a master of playing time, faster time controls himself. Anyway, now the pawns are rolling on the queen side, Shri, with b5 coming in. Queen b3 and queen b5 will be taken. b7 is weak, but we can keep it defended after knight to c5 at some point. So, yeah, knight to c5 has been played. I think white will take and queen to b5. Now b7 is the weakness that we need to keep guarded.
Yeah, B7 is the weakness, and there's also something on the E6 point. Nihal kind of overcompensating for the previous game by playing super fast. Now he takes a moment to assess the position. Till this point, he was bulleting his way through. Now the problem is this allows the bishop to C8, and this B7 pawn is very, very weak. So I think Nihal wants to recapture with the E pawn and try and create some counter chance on the E4 point. Hikaru not allowing, he doesn't want to take knight takes d4. Instead, he keeps the knight and tries to exert pressure on the b7 point. Let's see how Nihal defends.
Can we play bishop b4 and take on a5, create problems for white? Okay, he goes for queen c7 with the idea to take on a5 with the queen. So bishop b7, queen a5, very equalish, but the king on f8 still a little weak. F2 point is weak on the other hand. So black and white, both of them have some chances. Queen b6, nice move there, keeping the F2
Yeah,
pawn
this
alive.
looks very equalish to me. But
So
there is still queen c8, queen g8 danger. There's still the danger of the queen coming on to the eighth rank, and Nihal has to keep it guarded. So he keeps the bishop on b6. So there's always queen d8 and queen c7. But queen c6, a
queen
very
e6,
unpleasant move with the idea of queen e6, and
queen
I have a
g8.
feeling
Oh
that
no, this
yeah,
is
this is just too much pressure.
very difficult for black now because g7, f6, all of black's pawns are on the dark squares and will be taken. Big
Yes,
check.
I think Nihal will resign this one so he can save the match clock. But a very, very tilting beginning for Nihal in the bullet position. Wow, how quickly are they playing? Oh my god. Before you
The
can say
same,
anything, they have played 10 moves in the game.
yes, it's the same position as the first game, Shri, of the bullet match, and knight c3, rook c1, rook c5, queen d2. So both of them feeling very comfortable to re-enter the same position as game one.
Makes total sense from Nihal's perspective. He had a very pleasant position in the game one, and it makes all the sense to repeat it to create chances once again. But Hikaru seems to be more prepared against it, and now the position uh, has liquidated somewhat.
Yes, and rook coming to e3 with knight d6. Wonderful idea there. Anyway, rook e3 on the board. Queen a8 only move to keep, or queen c6 was also possible to keep the e8 rook protected. And queen b2. Oh, knight d6 idea again. Wonderful tactics there shown by Shri and spotted by Nihal. Knight e5, knight d7 is another option that white has now. Can he go for that? And even knight g4, yes. And knight on e5 generally very well placed because it also allows g4, g5, but he comes back knight d3 and he wants to re re
Yeah,
channel it to
maneuver.
f4
Yeah,
and
yeah,
keep the
yeah.
d5 pawn attacked. And e6 is never possible because the f6 knight keeps hanging.
Yes, and there's also the idea to create something against the black king here, Soumya. So Nihal goes for h5. Do potentially h6 now with the idea of rook into e7.
Oh, h6, wonderful move there, because we always have queen g7 ideas and backrank mate ideas later. So useful move to make in faster time controls. E5, knight d3. Now d5, e5 both are hanging. D4, is our rook getting trapped?
Yeah, it's not just that, but I think the h6 pawn is also likely to fall. This e5 d4 was a pretty powerful move by Hikaru, cutting the connection of this queen on this dangerous diagonal, and now Hikaru has turned it around.
Knight g5 coming in, the rook is actually getting trapped on f3. So rook c1, good move there by Nihal, trying to create some chances on the c file. But Nihal not liking his position. He's just shaking his head. He doesn't like what's been created on the board so far. Knight c5, knight to f3 takes. Black is an exchange up, but knight on c5 very well placed there. A5, A3 takes, and H6 being attacked. Queen D2 will be played. No, it was not. I think he missed it. F4, E5 is now hanging. Rook E7, and can white create any chances at all in this game? E4 is free pawn after. Oh, but he did not take
think
it.
now I think it's just getting too dangerous for Nihal's king. And
Can we play Queen D4 and create some chances of our own, Srinath?
we can, which is what Nihal is trying to do. But okay, this endgame cannot.
This endgame looks
Queen D1.
very difficult for white. Yes, rook E2 and Queen E2 was played, and rook E5 even, and the knight is too far away to really create any kind of problems for black's king. Knight A6, rook to C4. Only a blunder can save white from not losing this game.
Yeah, but Hikaru has.
But he has
Hikaru played.
blundered.
Yeah, and it's still not over. Hikaru hesitating a lot there, Soumya. Very uncharacteristic of Hikaru.
Oh wow!
Oh man! Once again, Hikaru wakes up. He wakes up in time, cuts off the G4 escape, and look at him wasting his time. Look at him wasting his time, forcing Nihal to resign. He's like, if you won't resign, you're going to lose another 10 seconds from the match clock.
He is very happy with himself. After having found the move f5, he looked really pleased with himself. That good job there. And knight f6, knight d7. Okay, so a huge lead for Hikaru here, Srinath, with 5 points. Nihal needs to get his game going. He needs a win now. He really needs that win in to get something going for him in this match.
Absolutely. And with 16 minutes to go, Hikaru has a 5-point lead. So Nihal has to kind of win every single game from here. Hikaru is not going to make it easy, Soumya. He's someone who has absolutely no hesitation in wasting the time in the match clock. So this creates a lot of pressure on Nihal to somehow play as fast as he can, and going at that speed can provoke more mistakes. Look at how Hikaru has completely closed off the position.
But I'm so impressed with Nihal's plan. You know, he first went king h8, trying to play g5. White played h4, preventing g5, and then he comes king g8, king f8, all the way to b7. He queenside castled after having kingside castled at some point in this game, and now he's ready to take some break on the king side. But unfortunately, everything is closed. White has also brought his king to the queen side now. So the now all
and look at Hikaru once again. Look at him on the camera. He's just not even having his hand on the mouse. Yeah. After b4, he knows everything is going to be blocked. So he's just going to waste another 2 minutes. He's going to be so careful not to repeat 3 times. Nihal pre-moving bishop d8, bishop c7, and Hikaru can even do something like e4 in between to just make use of this. But Nihal knows his strategy. And this kind of pre-moving can be fatal.
But there is no blunder to make, bishop d8, e4, bishop c7, and then what?
Yeah, but this is the kind of situation when people even just take like queen d5 to knowing that
Yes,
when they notice their opponent pre-moving,
yes.
and Hikaru's got to play out 50 moves, and he's going to spend his whole minute before doing this 50 move thing. And Nihal knows this because he's grown up watching Hikaru play the Speed Chess Championship. Again, knowing is not going to help here because it only increases the pressure.
Yeah, this is absolutely brutal by Hikaru, taking making use of every strategy there is. After all, he's four-time SCC champion. He knows every trick in the book, and he's making use of all of them right now in this game. But this will be a 50 move draw because there is no pawn move to make and there is no capture to make in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a very, very tilting feeling for Nihal as well. He's going to be like, what? I mean, come on, come on.
Yes.
And I think the last pawn move was on the 34th move. So there's one more move to make. It's the 84th move. If Hikaru makes a move, it will be draw by the 50 move rule. But Hikaru taking his own sweet time, he kind of senses that he makes one more move and it's going to be a draw. So he can take all the time he wants. Nihal won't be able to make a capture. He won't be able to make a pawn move. And just when he's going to go less on time, he will make this the 50th move.
So there are 13 minutes left. So I think there will be six more games. Uh, in case the games are short, and maybe otherwise there'll be five more games. So that's why Hikaru was thinking that maybe he plays a move like e4, gives up a pawn and plays 50 more moves. Anyway, so the draw has been agreed. Berlin defense on the board, bishop e3, knight b5 will be met with bishop takes c5. Uh, Two minor pieces have been exchanged. Black gets his d5 break, but at the cost of the e5 pawn. So he goes for d6, h3, knight h5. Uh, Srinath,
Knight e2.
knight to e2. What do you feel like? What's going to happen in this game, chat? क्या निहाल वो गेम ये गेम जीत कर कम बैक कर पाएंगे, एक दो पॉइंट्स ले पाएंगे और हिकारू पे प्रेशर डाल पाएंगे? Because if he wins two games, na Srinath, he can put some pressure.
Absolutely, he can, and there's a good chance he might. But Hikaru will do everything he can to try and keep the games as long as possible. He will try to take the game long, and he's not going to do anything immediate. Once again, the pressure on Nihal. If he plays at his usual speed, the bullet speed, he's going to make good moves, but it will take time. And if he overspeeds, there is a chance that he might lose the quality.
Hanshika, about the previous game. Will be fun if he loses connection this very moment.
Yeah, I don't think he has
Sadistic
any
chat.
such.
मतलब player lose. But this is again very, very equal, Srinath, and looks tough for Nihal. And I'm just like sitting here and admiring Hikaru a little bit for his strategy. So he played all of these risky openings in the 5+1 section with A3, H3, and whatnot on the first moves. And now that he's got a lead, he's playing a opening like Berlin, very solid and something you can rely on even in a classical game.
Absolutely, Soumya. He's just a master of this format. But that said, I think Magnus will be able to beat him this time because
Wow.
quite simply, Magnus at his best is better than Hikaru at his best,
Wow, Srinath
in
with his
my
bold
opinion.
predictions here, chat. And rook e5, rook c7. Nihal has achieved something. Rook on c5, quite well placed. Knight coming to f4, trying to dislodge the rook from c5 by going to e6 and attacking the c5 rook. Rook d6, अच्छी move hai, but it will be met with pawn takes c4, and rook takes b2. And that's why Nihal doesn't allow it. Not sure if that was necessary, but anyway, rook coming to d6 is also great. f4, white has managed to achieve some edge in this game, which was actually very, very equal. But He should not lose an exchange after f6. That's the only concern I have for white. Anyway.
I think that's not going to happen because the rook always has a eastern square. So Nihal has managed to create some pressure here. And Hikaru coming up with this very useful defensive move, knight
Knight
h7.
f6 is never possible because of rook g2.
Oh, he's taken a pawn. He's taken a pawn. The game is happening so fast that the evolution bar has no time to
f6 and the king
catch
is
up.
trapped after rook e4, rook h4, but rook
What
g8
a
check
beautiful
and
finish.
h4. Wow, beautiful, 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 resourceful and artistic by Nihal Sarin. I think we should stop calling Nihal a magician. I think he's an artist.
Well, magic is an art.
Magic is an art, that is true. But and he hates it. What happened? What happened? Oh,
They put it as 5+0. This is there is I think chess.com is also having one of its days where the
all
server is
right.
acting like how I play chess.
All right. So
And
Hikaru really
I guess the match clock will be reset now. Back to the point, the game clock will be reset, and I'm guessing the pace at which the players are playing, it's just intimidating for everyone around, and it's quite unsettling for the players as well. Because typically they have some kind of a stopwatch next to them when they're playing, and this will just disorient that time.
so he's gone with
They
the
have as well.
same. No, but did you notice he's gone with the same setup that he chose in the 5+0 format? So they didn't change anything. Kudos to both of them. And rook d1, rook d8, f3. So they started the same position with 1+1.
Absolutely, but there's also very little time to process and change something. It's just bishop h3, nice move by Nihal.
Bishop h6.
I love how Nihal has been able to create so much pressure in this match, Soumya, and Nihal is just 18. Hikaru is almost double his age. So imagine Speed Chess Championship 2023, 2024. Nihal is going to keep getting better.
I do agree, but I also feel like he has some chances even in this match so far, Shri. I don't know whether he'll be able to go to the tie break or not, but there is a chance because if he can get a win in this game, he reduces the gap, he puts pressure on Hikaru. Hikaru already feeling unsettled there by the match clock. These are things you take advantage of, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if anyone in the world can do it, it's Nihal. But in this one, yeah.
Nice move there.
It could very well happen that someday Nihal just dominates the match from start to finish.
Yes, absolutely. That can very well happen. Right now, let's focus on what he's trying to do in this game. Queen e3, knight a4, attacking the b2 pawn. So once white pushes that pawn, c3 becomes weak. So white always has to look out for his queenside pawns. Queen d3, queen e6. Nice idea there, Shri. With the idea to even go queen b3 and put
queen
more
b3,
pressure
queen
on
d6, Hikaru owns.
That was his intention. So he comes back knight c5, controlling the d3 square for the f2 knight. Knight t3 will run into queen d6. Oops. And that will lose a full piece for white. So he doesn't want to do that. So black is preventing the f2 knight from getting into the game. But now he's managed to do that. Or not yet. Not yet. c3 point is still attacked. So knight d3 will run into c3. So white is trying to create chances on the king side so that he can come. Yes, knight h1, knight g3. That was the point. And actually now white is taking over because black has allowed the f5 square to become weak.
Yeah, the problem is the king, Soumya. Like black can retort and take the c3 pawn, but white can just give it up, tuck the king away on h3 and start going after Nihal's king. And Nihal also must... knight f5 check is blundered.
No, it's not yet a blunder, but queen h6 he missed. No, queen h6 will be met with queen d2, but queen a7 he missed. Oops, this is like Topilov's miss against Kramnik in the World Championship match. Queen a7 move. Queen c7, king h8, queen c6, king f2. and Black's king is in super danger. On the other hand, White just exchanged queens and said,
Yeah.
okay, I'll win the endgame.
And after d6, the pawn is almost unstoppable. The knight can still stop it, but the white king comes into the game and the h5 pawn falls now.
So Black managed to win the d6 pawn, but White managed to create a passer out of the h pawn now. And knight d6, b5 pawn is hanging. He's going to get this game in. Knight d6, two passers, impossible to defend. Nihal Sarin resigns.
And
Minutes
I
to
think
go.
with that Hikaru takes a match because five points in 5 minutes is just mathematically not possible.
Neil says Chesscom better have a permanent invite in SCC for Nihal from now on. I think he will
Yes,
anyway
they
qualify
might.
even if there is no permanent invite, no, Shri?
No, I think he was already invited to this one, Soumya, in the JSCC. Arjun defeated Nihal, so he got into the SEC through that qualification, but Nihal had a direct invite because you can't not invite the second highest rated Blitz player in the server.
Wow, yes. And knight f7, knight h6. What's happening? Nihal taking this. Nihal taking this. Queen f3. Hikaru is not at all happy there. Rook f8. King, this opening, this setup is suiting Nihal so well. We saw one more beautiful win by him in exactly this setup. And here as well, he's given up a piece, but the king on g8 is under attack by both the bishops. A2 and B2 पे क्या मस्त बैठे हैं दोनों. They are like nuclear missiles.
Yeah, interdiagonal ballistic missiles.
Okay. Rook D7 coming in. Oh, Rook D7 भी आ रहा है अभी तो. Knight B2, Rook C8. Or
Yeah, everything is winning, and Nihal is taking his time to, just go for the safest win, I guess. He will take on f6 and he'll take on c8 is my guess. So bishop f5 check, bishop into f6 and take on c8. Yeah.
all right. Fine. Rook D7 now. Okay. He just wanted to win the exchange. Now Rook D7 will run into knight E2. Queen D7 and knight E2.
Yeah, you still need to be careful. But Nihal is careful and goes into a winning endgame because he just
Yes.
has so many of these pawns. But Hikaru's still defending, yeah, even though the match is almost won, he's not.
Because of the time situation, 8 seconds, and even if Nihal does win it, he spends some time on the clock winning it.
Yeah, taking time off the match clock.
So yes, all of White's pawns are simply rolling their black rook down, but still playing so that taking so that there'll be less time on the clock left for another game. Hikaru wants to get this over it with as
Do you
soon
think
as
he's gonna wait 55 seconds now? Yeah, he's going to. He's going to. Even when the match won, he yeah yeah. I mean, also it really helps with the tilt. When you give yourself some time to recover. Look at him drinking some juice or some water there and getting his heart rate back to normal. It gives him that recovery time because why not? I mean, he's you don't want to have the you don't want to get into a tilt.
You know what would be really cool, Srinath? If in the next edition we can have heart rate monitors
That
of
would
the
be
players
cool
SPC.
indeed.
Yeah, because I'm sure the heart rate
Absolutely.
keeps going up and down throughout these 4 hours that they play. And I am sure Nihal's heart rate would be as calm as the backwaters of Kerala. He is so calm.
uh, yeah, Nihal has pre-mode rookie 8 and he drinks a lot of water himself. And off we are to what is probably the last game of this amazing match. Brilliant match. Nihal fighting so incredibly well. Lot of uh, lot of heart there. And in terms of chess, I think he really matched Hikaru, but Hikaru was just able to see some of the crucial moments this time. But it's only 2022, guys. Nihal's just 18 years old. Hikaru's 35, I guess. And the time is on Nihal's side overall.
Yes, and I also want to say to the chat who think like it's not okay for Hikaru to have taken all that time and just waited. I think it's just a strategy. I mean, he knows that he has won the match, so he doesn't want to prolong the match by having to play extra games when he can actually wait it out. I mean, it's something he has earned for himself. So I don't think there's anything. I actually think it was a good move by him to have waited it out.
Yeah, and also these guys, they really care about their bullet rating. So Hikaru wouldn't really want to, despite having won the match, he will try to make the maximum points out from this. Playing Nihal is probably one of his best chances to improve his blitz and bullet rating because they're so closely matched against everyone else. Hikaru outrates them by a pretty big margin.
So Rook E1 there, and this is again a very imbalanced position, but knight e4 coming in, queen e5 will be met with knight f6. That's the
At
point.
f6, I will take gf6.
हाँ पर स्ट्रक्चर तो खराब हो गया ना.
हाँ, but 2 pawns up and the queens are
अच्छा
getting
नहीं नहीं
treated.
नहीं, क्वीन e5 के बाद पॉन हमारा फिर से सेंटर में आ जाएगा. सॉरी. So queen a7, that's why was played, and black is still a pawn up, पर c pawns जो है doubled है.
Yeah.
And that is white's compensation. On the other hand, now rook d4, rook c7, and this position is very hard to win for black because it's not.
The king is too close to the pawn.
Yeah, it's very far. So from the, I mean, the king is very close to the pawn's queening square, and it also can keep his own pawns defended, g2 and h4 by king g3, quite well placed there. Oh, is he planning to come to e6 with his rook at some point and pressurize the white by supporting the rook, the pawn behind, from behind the.
I think he wants to advance his king, and he's kept the g6 pawn protected, so he's going to play.
Oh, that is the point. Oh,
Yeah.
this was nice. King d4, king f4, rook f6 now. King g5, cutting the king off. And now rook g2. Oh, the same end game as we saw in one of the previous games.
Yeah.
Srinath.
The same trick, the same rook e2 idea, the same Hikaru spending the time on the clock. And there we have it, the last game of an amazing electric match.
Yes, absolutely. Time over, and Hikaru has won the semi-finals of the SCC with 14.5 to 10.5 on Nihal Sarin, who was a brave boy today and he fought really well. Very impressed with the quality of play Nihal has shown in this match against Speed King Hikaru Nakamura, but not enough to beat him yet.
Absolutely, Soumya. Very, very, very heartening performance by Nihal. Great fight. The match had only 25 games, which shows how well fought the games were. They didn't give an inch to each other. There was just so many well fought games. Nihal had so many winning games, but Hikaru was just better at those conversions. Both the players created equal amount of chances. In fact, Nihal may have created more chances in the match than Hikaru, but Hikaru was just better at some of those critical moments, bringing in all his years of playing blitz, all his years of playing bullet, all the experience in the Speed Chess Championship matches as well, and deservedly takes this one. But Hikaru has gone to the final, but we still await the winner of the match between Magnus against MVL in what is said to be one of the most mouth-watering finals the SCC might witness. And I'm not sure how many people know this, but Magnus and Hikaru have faced off once before in this exact same format that was not named the SCC back then. It was not the Speed Chess Championship. It used to be called as Deathmatch back in those times. and Magnus and Hikaru played against each other. It was quite similar to this match between Hikaru and Nihal, except Hikaru was on the receiving end. Magnus managed to convert better in those games in a very evenly fought contest. So Magnus has that edge over Hikaru, but before that, he has to overcome MVL, who defeated Magnus the last year.
Oh, yes, of course. And this is a good. Before we end this stream, we would like our chat to actually participate in the comments once this stream is over and tell us what do you think will be the score between Carlsen and MVL, which is the other semi-final match that's going to happen. And the winner of that match will, of course, play Hikaru Nakamura. So, great match today. Thanks a lot, chat, for being with us and showing all your support to both the players. I think chat was more of Nihal OP, but there was also a lot of Hikaru support there. So both the sides got their fair share of excitement today. हमें तो बहुत मजा आया आज, and we would like to thank Nihal for giving us such a great show throughout the SCC, in fact. And I also want to
Absolutely.
thank.
As I mentioned before, Nihal just keeps this channel going, because he gets to the semifinals and finals of these events in 2022. He got to the finals of the GCC, the Global Chess Championship, the semis of the SCC. This is 2022. Nihal is just 18. So imagine how much he's going to grow, how much better he's going to become in the coming years. Maybe there will be a time when Nihal just becomes like the Hikaru of these events, and we'll call the SCC as Sarin Chess Championship.
Oh, kya baat hai. On that note, it's a great time to end the stream. We would like to thank our producers, Niranjan and Rakesh, for making everything possible, organizing all of this, and supporting us so much. We would also like to thank chess.com for the event itself. I mean, what a great event. It's been my first time watching this event, by the way, Srinath, and I've thoroughly enjoyed following this event, even as a viewer and as a commentator. It was such a pleasure to commentate with you, Harshit, Abhimanyu, for all the streams, and what fun. Thank you to all the players for bringing us this show and giving us so much such great chess, such high quality fights, and to the chat for sticking with us, all the viewers. Thank you so much. This was amazing.
Thank you so much, Soumya. Thank you so much, chat and chess.com. And with that, we'll sign off.
Good night. Bye bye. Take care.